from the beginning.
And I was shown that that Lucifer would return, that the UN and the Vatican were going to be completely behind it, again, under false pretenses. He's going to show up and say, I'm here to save the day, right? And, okay, fine, you know.
Yeah, of course,
ahead,
you can say whatever you want. But I've always hated censorship. It's the internet.
Sometimes, you know, once they get you for your first love bite, well, it depends on how aware you are, right?
I forgot my bullets. I never had a gun. Here I am left standing. Am I the only one? For what I see, memories have guilted me. I'll never see the sun.
First of all, as you know, the Anunnaki and the Draco are enemies. Second of all, underneath Baghdad was a stargate that was created by the Anunnaki so that they could transfer from Jupiter to the Earth.
I'll never see the sun. I could just end it all, but the demons will have won.
Magical practitioners that, you know, some are good and some use their magic for good and to heal and to help, and others do use it for evil. And, you know, in some cases, you know, people really were
This is too much sometimes.
From the broken ruins of Babylon, this is End of Days Radio. Coming at you all the way from the shimmering Emerald City, right here in the heart of the Pacific Northwest. I am your host, Daniel. This is End of Days Radio. The date is 7/7/17. 777 today. Today's show is a very special show. We are continuing our quest to connect and unite with as many paranormal podcasters as possible. And on this episode, we will be joined by the boys, or the guys, I should say, from the Grimerica podcast or radio show, whatever they prefer. I'm sure many of you End of Days Radio fans are familiar with Grimerica. The description goes, a loose cannon podcast featuring casual conversations with whomever we deem interesting, often on the fringe. Sounds like good stuff. And remember, if you wanted to call in tonight, just call 209-348-9810 or add NinjaShoe777 on Skype. Once again, that call-in number is 209-348-9810. Let's go ahead and see if we can connect with the guys from Grimerica.
It goes all glitchy.
Good job.
Hello.
Sorry, buddy. He hung up on you.
No problem.
That was an accident.
Guys, welcome to the End of Days.
Hey, thanks for having us.
It sure feels like it. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it kind of does sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's hot.
Appropriately named.
Now, just to start us off, I wanted to kind of ask you guys a little bit about your backgrounds. You guys are located in Canada, right?
Yeah, in Calgary, Alberta. Or close to Calgary, yeah.
What's it like up there?
It's really hot right now. Actually, it's pretty nice. I moved here from Vancouver, and I was surprised at how how Calgary's big enough that it pretty much has everything you need. And it's a pretty nice city. You know, it's close to the mountains. The weather is good compared to the rest of Canada for the most part, except for the coast.
Awesome. Have you guys always lived there together? Did you grow up together or what?
No, we met like about 6 months. How long? 6 months or a year before we started the podcast together.
Probably a year. Yeah, a
Yeah.
year before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So how did you guys meet?
We met at work, and then we went to this conference together. We started talking about, like, ancient alien stuff and all this conspiracies, and we realized we have this in common, and we went to this conference. And I had sort of turned Darren on the podcast, and he was like, we should just start up our own podcast. And I was thinking about it for years because I've been listening to podcasts for like 10 years. So we decided to do it.
And do you guys use your first and last names, or do you have like secret names or what?
We use our real names. Graham was going to have a secret name for a while, but he decided against it in the end.
Yeah, I was reluctant to start out at first because I wasn't really on social media. It's kind of hard to put yourself out there, so I was going to have sort of an alias, but we decided just to go for it.
4 years later, you're nutscaping.
So it's Graham Dunlop?
Yeah.
And Darren, what's your last name? Or if you want to share it, I mean.
Grimes.
That's where the name comes from, Grimerica.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just about to ask how you came up with the name Grimerica.
It's a drunken poker nickname.
So you guys were sitting around playing poker and you just thought, Grimerica, perfect.
Well, he was. I mean, it was something he had signed. What did you do? Sign a poker table or something, Grimerica, and then that's right. Kind of, that became sort of like the podcast theme afterwards. Which kind of fits it in a way, like Grimerica.
We went with it because I already had like 500 Twitter followers. Remember, we were like, well, yeah, we already got 500 followers. We'll just go with that.
Nice. And what I usually like to ask when I'm first talking to guests is, how did this begin? How is it that you guys even had an interest at all in the paranormal? What happened? Did something weird happen when you were kids? Well, how did this all start?
Well, I'll go first, I guess. First of all, thanks for having us on. Really appreciate being here with you guys. And
more than one?
Well, there's people listening, I believe.
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I didn't think about the listeners.
Yeah, I used to have a show, and I had a co-host, kind of like you guys have, and now it's just me. My co-host went and started his own show, so it's just me now.
Okay, cool. Well, I had a sighting in 1990, a UFO sighting, which sort of propelled me. But I mean, I think I was interested in spirituality and certain things throughout my life. Actually, I sort of had some issues with drugs and alcohol later on in life too, and so after I got sober, that kind of changed things as well for me. Like I kind of started looking into things a little bit more, and my spirituality kind of came back, and I kind of changed my lifestyle, and I went through a skeptical phase where I was listening to a lot of skeptical podcasts, and then I was disgusted by the way they would sort of ridicule things, and then I got more into UFOs again and this type of thing. So, but I mean, that sighting really kind of changed my outlook back then. But I mean, I had ghost experiences as a kid, so maybe that was part of it as well.
Ghost experiences? What happened? Did a ghost touch you or something when you were in bed?
I don't think so. No, we were smoking doobies in a turret in a tower, and it was supposed to be haunted. As kids, we were like 15, 16, and the lights were out. We took some pictures, and the photos came back, and it was like a guy in there with a glowing orb or two. There was one picture with an orb, but the other picture was a guy with a cummerbund and a tie, and those were glowing in the dark with an orb, and we were pretty blown away by the pictures. And then my girlfriend's mom was like, you guys shouldn't go there, just don't do that, because we were playing around with the Ouija board at the time as well. So
okay.
That's I mean, I don't know if those were connected really, but we were in the school room at lunch in the classroom playing around with that. So I think we were warned by some of our parents to just stay away from that stuff as kids. So
yeah, I would say there's some
interest
connection
did go
there.
back.
I would say there's probably some connection there.
Yeah, maybe. Funny enough, I haven't really thought about that connection ever, I don't think. I mean, I don't remember how close those events were related, but there was definitely some ghosty stuff going on there.
Yeah, I'm not even. I guess it's all paranormal. Like, I'm more interested in a lot of, I guess, more the nature of reality sort of questions. And, I mean, I don't mind the UFO stuff once in a while, but it's definitely not my biggest interest. I like the time slip stuff and the matrixy stuff and the simulated universe stuff and all that sort of crazy shit. But I guess it all does umbrella under paranormal. But we definitely have started to evolve from that.
So I take it that does this mean that you're branching out from the paranormal? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't think we were ever pigeonholed in the paranormal. Like, from the beginning, we just kind of called it, whomever we deem interesting. So we kind of left it wide open from the beginning to just interview whoever we want, with the caveat that it's often on the fringe. And I mean, for the 90% of the episodes they are, but then we might find a musician that we like, or a fitness person that we like, or, whoever might, a festival goer, or, whoever might come along that just seems interesting enough to come along.
Yeah, like if you really look at the percentage of paranormal, the way people call paranormal is probably
it's probably not show. Yeah, it's 220 something.
Yeah, so it's probably not as many as you'd think, but there is an overarching connection and everything overlaps.
Did you say you've done 200 shows? Did I hear that correctly?
230, I think.
231.
231.
Today.
Holy crap, that's a lot of shows.
And most of them are pretty long, like 2 or 3 hours. Some of them are 4 hours. Some of them are.
That's nothing really compared to some of the people some of the people we started listening to before we had our own show. I mean, they've got so many that I guess we don't even realize that we're snuck up on a couple of hundred shows.
Yeah.
Now, my next question, first of all, the first part of this question is, do you each believe in a global conspiracy? And the second part would be, when did you realize that there was a global conspiracy going on?
A global conspiracy related to anything?
Yeah, like Illuminati sort of stuff. Like there's a hidden group of elitists controlling the world, maybe aliens, who knows?
Is this a reptilian agenda?
Yeah. No, I think he's just saying whatever global conspiracy. Like I do think something is going on, but I don't know what that is, and I don't really have a pretty hardcore belief about it. But there's definitely global cover-ups going on, and so whether it's a hidden, I'm not sure whether it's a hidden Illuminati or whether it's definitely like more out there. But there's global fuckery afoot. Yeah, can we swear on here at all? Or?
Oh yeah, it's the internet. You can say whatever you want.
Okay, well, that would have been good to know ahead of time, because Darren's going to drop a few F-bombs, I'm sure.
Darren,
doesn't
swing
seem
away.
To be in that mood tonight.
Swing away, buddy.
Yeah, like the UFO cover-up is really an obvious one. I mean, there is a cover-up, and it's somewhat global, but, there's other countries that they're sort of more open, but there is definitely something going on, right, as far as, like, somebody pulling the strings and covering it up.
The countries that are more open are the ones that aren't in on the fucking jig. They don't know about the secret tech or whatever it is.
Do you think so? Like Chile and some of the South America?
Like, we're not telling them about our planes. And then if it's UK, you're like, yeah, we got this shit, and we're going to shoot you with it if you tell anyone.
You think so? So, I mean, definitely there's when you talk about the secret space program, and something is going on. There's some people flying around in craft, and it's not all ET, So I do think something like that is somewhat global in nature. Yeah. What do you think?
Are you asking me, or is Darren going to go? Oh, what I think? Okay, well, I totally buy into all of that stuff. I mean, not all of it in terms of I believe that it's necessarily reptilians or anything like that, but as far as an overarching conspiracy, oh, definitely. I mean, there's all these secret societies and stuff like Bohemian Grove, Bilderberg, and stuff like that. I think there's enough evidence that, like you guys said, there's some sort of fuckery taking place, but I'm not exactly sure who's in charge of it all. I don't think any of us have the answers, so that all we can do is kind of speculate.
Exactly. So, and I mean, I think as far as Bilderberger and the CFR and all that kind of stuff goes, that almost seems like the foot soldiers to me. Like, that's the visible part of it. Now, I think something is above that or behind that, sort of controlling it even from a deeper level. But it's interesting now what's happening with the whole globalist and nationalist, civil war type stuff that's going on. I mean, it's happening all over the world, and it really does seem to be escalating. And I wonder how that's connected to that all, right? Because it does seem like it's the globalist agenda is almost part of that whole I don't know if it's directly related to the hidden hand and the Illuminati and that kind of thing, or if it just happens to be
corporate greed.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's one part of it that's really hard to consolidate. Is there some kind of greater agenda, or are all of these people just trying to make as much money as possible?
I think it's just, a bunch of stupid humans trying to eke their way through life the best way they can. And the ones, as soon as you get a little power, you just naturally...
I don't think so. Look at Macron today. He said he's God. He said he's Jupiter. God. He claimed to be some fucking God. So that's not just some guy trying to make as much money. He is out there saying that. And George Soros has said he's playing God. So these guys, this is big. This is bigger than money and power for those guys.
To the puzzle, though.
Yeah, but he's part of the global. He's part of this whole globalist agenda. Whether it's part of the Illuminati or not. I think
it's all about money, one way or another.
No, it's not. It's beyond that. He says he's playing God. Have you listened to some of his old tapes from the 80s? It's crazy. And he's funding all these organizations. He's blowing tons of money, so it's not all about cash flow for him. He's controlling
short stuff and
it's crazy.
Like when he topples economies, I think it's for a profit.
Yeah, definitely. But it's for he's got bigger agendas. And then you wonder if he's if there's spiritual warfare. Well, you wonder if there's a deeper spiritual warfare going on as well. Is it good versus evil, or is it
a demon?
Christianity versus something else,
Well, one thing is that for them to make as much money as possible, they have to keep us as poor as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And as dumb as possible. I mean, really, you get into all the mainstream media distraction and the fluoride and all that stuff, all starts to link in the education system. We've talked about
the system's a mess.
It's all a mess, really. When you come the food supply, everything is fucked, really, right now, and we're realizing it. They told us about sugar being good, and we grew up as kids eating sugar like crazy, and fats were bad.
Turn out to be the worst one.
The sugar?
I bet you it's worse than smoking.
Yeah.
Now, what was it that caused or inspired you guys to do a podcast?
Well, for me, I'd listened to them for so long, and I like to have conversations like this, but there's, in your day-to-day life, there's only a certain amount of people you can talk to about this kind of stuff, and I like to have, interesting conversations, and I feel like we're living in a schizophrenic society right now where, on one hand, people like you and I and Darren have had experiences with, I don't know whether it's paranormal or sightings of UFOs or Sasquatch or extended consciousness or spiritual awakenings through psychedelic or meditation or whatever. We realize that there's something bigger than what's going on. And it's either us or loved ones have all had these experiences, yet we're living in this paradigm where the mainstream scientific paradigm and the scientism and the media is telling us something completely different. So we're living in this official world of materialism, yet everybody knows there's more to it, or most people. I shouldn't say everybody. I don't want to generalize too much.
Some people.
A lot of people, more and more people are sort of having this experiential awakening. It's like the Church of Experience, right? So, I mean, I wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to be open about it. And it's amazing how, we've attracted this community of people that want to share their experiences and discuss the stuff in an open-minded, non-dogmatic way. But hey, what's going on? And that's kind of why I wanted to do it, I think.
And to talk to people that are smarter than we are.
And to have those conversations, to learn stuff, To ask those questions that you never heard other people ask. And what about you, Darren?
Mine is mostly just to ask those questions that Ben and Aaron weren't asking at the time. That was mostly the only podcast I was listening to. So that one and Grayland.
So
and at that time, there was only, I could only probably name of a dozen people I wanted to interview.
So Darren,
Maybe 20.
There were a couple podcasts that you were really into that maybe kind of inspired you a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mysterious Universe, for sure. Alien Report. Skeptico. What else? THC we didn't find till after we started. No Agenda we didn't find till after we started. Back then I was still listening to like Hidden Experience, and what's that one with Gene Steinberg?
Oh, and the Conspiracy Show with Richard Serra, Paracast and all that. There's quite a few that we were sort of inspired by, I guess.
Were you guys fans of Coast to Coast AM?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, I didn't listen to it regularly, but I remember listening to it as a younger adult. Definitely.
I didn't listen to a whole lot of it. I didn't listen.
I remember working night shift at Overweighty, like in the early, and this is back in the 90s, like early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and it was on at night. We'd play it through the whole store.
I'd never get it where I grew up.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
And when you guys were first starting out, when you first started your show, how was it? Was it weird? Was it hard starting out?
It was weird, but it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I mean, I think because I'd listened to so many and stuff, it was okay. It was It was a bit strange. It took a lot longer
to edit the first few ones, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That kind of process streamlines, but nothing else does. I mean, we're just as fucking unorganized as we were for the first one. It's a little better and a little easier to troubleshoot, but I mean, maybe some people figure it out, but we don't seem to have any way of.
I mean, we originally planned on just being simple, having simple, audio, and then we ended up upgrading constantly along the way. We were just going to be. We weren't even going to do it in the same studio. We were going to
purchased and built an entire separate studio out of an old freezer in the garage, and we've built a studio and then filled it with audio gear and microphones and all fairly high-end equipment. Yeah, we got room. We can have guests in here, and that all just kind of spiraled out of control.
Do you guys ever have guests there in studio, or is it mostly done through the phone?
It's like 95% or more, I would say.
On Skype.
But we've had a dozen or
we've had
some people in studio.
Yeah, we try and have more. We try and do that as much as we can because there's nothing beats just talking to somebody in person.
Have you ever had any of your fans go crazy or flip out at you or get aggressive at all?
I don't know that we have any fans. Well, we have a couple.
Yeah, of course we do.
Yeah, we don't have any crazy fans like that, I don't think.
No, it's been pretty good, actually. Yeah.
We have a couple fans that definitely have turned into some good friends.
Yeah. And we even turned a 1-star guy into a rating guy into a fan.
And when you guys are broadcasting, do you have like a chat room or something where you and your fans can kind of interact?
We've gone through cycles of that. We went live for a little bit on a couple different apps, and then we went off where we just decided to stop the live stuff. And now we have a perpetual chat that's not connected to a live broadcast, but sometimes we've been just doing it live as well lately just for the chat. So it's kind of like
don't really pay attention to the chat when it's on, though.
Yeah, we can't. I'm terrible at that. I can't do the show and follow the chat, really.
It's just on there for them to interact amongst themselves while they listen live.
Yeah.
Which is few and far between.
I find I really need to pay attention to the guest, otherwise I feel like I'm losing it, if you know what I mean.
Now, one thing that immediately stands out if somebody was to come upon your show is your logo. I noticed you use one of those big-headed statues from Easter Island. Why did you pick that logo? What was it about it that made you want to go with that?
I can't take any credit for the logo. That was all our friend of the show, Red Pill Junkie. That's at red_junkie IE on Twitter. He does it. Yeah, he was the only one. It was him or Caleb Hanks was gonna design the logo. Red said no at first, and then he came up with the vision of the stone Moai. And then I think we had him add in the UFO, and that was about it.
No. He did it all like that. There was barely any change at all to it. And I thought he had got that from somewhere. And I had this experience that I had actually seen it before. I had a bit of a deja vu when he sent it over, and I was like, oh, I love that logo. I've seen it before. Where did you get it from? And he's like, I just made it up. And I just it was one of those things, like it just fit. And it felt really good right away. And he was a help for us, and we had him on the show quite a bit at the beginning, and
Yeah, him and Micah Hanks, the Gralien Report, helped us out huge in the beginning. Yeah, absolutely.
Is the statue smoking a joint?
I don't know what he's smoking.
He's not inhaling.
He's smoking medicine.
Are you guys potheads?
No, not me. I've been clean and sober for over 9 years now, 9 and a quarter probably, and Darren's a chronic pothead.
Medicinal marijuana user.
Yeah, he's got his card. Is that what you call it, Darren?
They call it medicine.
No, but do you have your card? Is that what you say you got your card?
Yeah. A green card? Is that
your green card?
And so far, you guys have been on for what, 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah, been 4 years. End of April. Last 4
years, April. Beginning of June.
Oh, beginning of June.
June 1st.
June 1st.
What would you guys say was your crowning achievement? What was your best show that you've done so far?
The last one.
What?
Didn't it always be the last one?
No.
I don't know. I couldn't pick one. I've got a ton.
Well, it's having Randall Carlson in the studio.
Oh yeah, Randall Carlson in the studio was probably the crowning achievement.
And traveling
around with him. Yeah, and being able to become good friends with him.
Yeah, and having him back to the studio after his trip, having him hang around here with his posse there was pretty cool.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Have you heard of Randall Carlson?
I'm pretty sure I've heard that name before.
Yeah, he talks about catastrophism a lot, like the end of the Ice Age being sort of propelled or instigated by cometary impacts across the globe. And it's pretty interesting evidence. And then and he's also into sacred geometry and a whole bunch of esoteric stuff. But it's pretty. There's a lot of evidence there that changes the paradigm from uniformitarianism to really quick changes, quick climate changes, and quick catastrophic changes across the globe. 12,000 years ago. Or whatever it was, 11,000, or I can never remember the exact. There was two of them. There was 13 and 11,000, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
What would you guys say has been the most horrible experience doing the show so far?
Horrible?
Awful, horrible, the worst.
I can't think of a real horrible experience. Sometimes it's strenuous on your other relationships. It takes a lot of time and effort.
Uh-oh.
But other than that, I mean, there's sometimes where...
I think there was a time when we found out that there was a controversy over some of our guests that we didn't realize about after we'd already published interviews. And that was kind of... That felt a bit weird.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that one.
What was the controversy?
I think it was a Jew hater.
Oh,
I'm not going to mention any names, and it wasn't even in the book or anything we had talked about. It just turned out that back before
later on he was accused, or later on we found out he had been accused of
this earlier in life.
Yeah, I learned the hard way myself. Just don't go there. Just don't.
Yeah, but it's funny nowadays. If that came up, it'd probably be just, I don't know. There's been so much of the same accusation than last year.
Well, there was one time all I did was I commented on a news story that I heard. Apparently, there were some pictures of a concentration camp that showed like a movie theater and a swimming pool, and I just happened to mention it on air. And this guy on YouTube, he actually like threatened to kill me for it. I was completely blown away. But lesson learned: don't even say anything remotely like that at all, I guess.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, we've stayed away from the most part. We've stayed away from the most part about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, but it's sad though, because like my show's supposed to be about the truth and it's supposed to be about free speech, but if you so much as question the official account, some people have a big problem with that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's mostly just the YouTube trolls. So if you are you hosting any place else other than YouTube? Like if you get into your actual podcast RSS feed, I mean, we've never really got too much negative feedback on our actual podcast feed. YouTube though
is a different
breed.
Troll haven.
They're already pissed off because there's no video when they press play, so they're angry the whole time.
Now, is that something you guys have ever considered? Maybe doing a video type of thing?
I don't know. We've got a few friends that are always trying to convince us to do more video. I mean, we've done a few videos. We did some skydiving videos. We did a couple.
We've talked. We've definitely thought about it.
Yeah. I wouldn't rule it out. Our webcam's crapped out right now, but I wouldn't rule out, something down the road. Whether it just be for supporters or otherwise.
This kind of seems like the next level, really, is just, making the YouTube part of it a little bit more professional, keeping the audio the same, but just adding either slideshows or guest presentations or
that type requires, of thing. Budget.
We just don't have the time and money to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about that as well, but I don't see why anybody would want to watch me just drooling and picking my nose and
oh no, we wouldn't do ourselves. Like that's the thing. Yeah, we wouldn't do ourselves.
Do Graham with his shirt off for a while. The first half hour would be upper body, and then the last half hour would be lower body, calf flexes.
Okay. This is where the fitness comes in. Is Graham like a badass? Is he a bodybuilder?
No. I just have big calves.
Big calves, yeah.
And I don't
calf, man.
And I don't do legs or anything like that. It's just genetic or something.
Now, this is a very key question. If you guys could interview anybody at all out there, who would it be? Who is each of you guys? Who is your dream interviewee?
I knew you were going to ask that. I should have been more prepared. Go ahead, Darren.
Putin.
That's a good one, yeah. I don't know. You know what?
When we first started, you said Grant Cameron. And you interviewed him twice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one because I've got a whole bunch of people that I want to, but I don't really have a dream interview. I really don't have just somebody that I really want to interview. Like, there's a whole list. The list is unbelievable, and it's always growing.
Tim Allen on the show. Talk about his blow-selling days.
Yeah, Bob and Doug would be fun to have on. Bob and Doug
I thought we were going to get them, too.
Yeah, what happened with that?
I don't think they like some of my retweets.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they're both huge anti-Trump.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just disgusting.
Yeah.
Really? It's something about the celebrities, like any kind of celebrity, it's just what the fuck is going on with them?
Yeah.
So there goes our old, dream, having Bob and Doug on.
Might still happen, who knows? But I don't want to get into it.
And Bob and Doug are from one of the podcasts you guys listen to?
Bob and Doug McKenzie.
They're old Canadian celebrities from the comedy in the 80s, like Bob and Doug. SCTV.
Oh, okay.
And they made a movie called Strange Brew, and they've got this real, they make fun of Canadians, like Jose and beer, and they've got the extended accent, and they talk like idiots, and we've been called that a couple times, so we thought we'd have them on the show.
Yeah, a lot of people compare us to Bob and Doug McKenzie. So they were doing a reunion show to raise some money, and so they were getting back together for a weekend. So it looked like they were looking for some publicity, so I thought maybe we could sneak in there and get them on, but I don't think they like the fact that we're not lefties.
There's a couple guys, like scientists, like Robert Lanza of biocentrism. He's like one of the main scientists in genetics and stuff. And I'd like to have him on, but yeah, those guys are kind of, in some ways I don't want to, because
it's we haven't expected that have blown your mind.
Yeah,
the people you just hear the name, someone's like, a listener sends it, try this person, you have them on, and you're just
blown away,
fucking floored for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
2 hours or however long you go on for.
I think that's one thing I've realized, is there's just an unlimited amount of interesting people to talk to.
And you say that you guys are not lefties. Does that mean that you support a guy like Donald Trump?
Well, I did.
I support him as a president trying to make change. Like, I really do think that maybe I was very skeptical that anything would change ever. So because he's hated from so many sides, I kind of feel like a bit of support for him, because he's actually maybe doing some good. But I've really tried to stay away from the left and right paradigm and not sort of get dragged into politics. But right now it's blown up so much that, it's hard, because we're so against the mainstream news, and we're doing a podcast, and just like you were sort of talking about, different realities and truth, and searching for truth, and trying to talk about, evidence that's not talked about in the mainstream media. And because they're just so deceptive and they're caught lying so much, it's hard, because they're basically left wing, and they're basically completely biased. So how do you not go to the other side of that? Like, how does that not push you to the other side? It's really difficult.
You don't trust or against someone, it's hard not to root for them.
Exactly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I consider myself to be maybe leaning a little bit more right wing, even though I stand for a lot of things that would be considered left wing.
Yeah.
I find it hard to really pick a side, because they're both so extreme. I float in the middle like most people, I suppose.
Yeah, me too.
If I had to label myself, I would consider myself a libertarian, probably.
And I was thinking back not too long ago when I was in Vancouver, probably 10 years ago, and I was thinking about patriotism. And I was like,
the Libertarian Party a couple weeks ago.
Are you listening to me, or just going to interrupt me with your own thoughts? You're just in your own little world over there.
Yeah. What you survived?
Okay, just finish your thing.
Go ahead. No. You go ahead. Just stop. Everything stop.
So I was in Vancouver thinking about patriotism and how I didn't understand it. I thought it was narrow-minded, and I was like, we should be more of a global community. But I was thinking that in a real genuine way, like, we should be a global community. But then, fast forward 10 years when I've learned more about how the globalist...
25 years?
No, this is only like 10 years ago, probably.
Did you say when you're 18?
No, I said when I was in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
So I'm more of a left at heart too, right? Really? It shouldn't be hard to cross borders. It should be easy to travel. It should be, we should have positive relations with everybody. Like, I'm anti-war and all that kind of stuff. But when you realize that what's been driving globalism and all the corruption and the lies and going on, it's not. I've kind of just gone away from that.
You can't have globalism when it's not an even playing field. You can't have globalism and free trade, but if you build your shit in China, it's 10 cents on the dollar, or maybe you go to India for 8 cents on the dollar, or, you can cram a bunch of kids in a fucking sweatshop in Taiwan and no one gives a fuck, and you can just do that, and there's no repercussions, because in that country it's okay. And that's, I don't know, to me those are all sort of the things that of globalism. Those are all sort of, I don't know if it's on purpose or by design, but those are definitely all sort of different aspects of globalism. Some of them could be avoided and others can't. I mean, sweatshops existed long before free trade. But, free trade has definitely accelerated everything at an exponential level.
Yeah, it is kind of sad when you see those pictures and stuff, and you pull out your iPhone, that was made in some sweatshop, and your shoes are made in a sweatshop, and your jacket, and pretty much everything else you own, and you're able to sit here and benefit from it, but somebody else's blood, sweat, and tears and misery went into making your lifestyle as cool as it is.
And we bitch about how shitty we have it, and just think about the people who are just... I mean, some of those people live in those fucking factories. Just fucking building shit all day. When the husband gets home, the wife goes to work.
See, I mean, I agree that's an issue, but I think more of an issue that's affecting us all is the money laundering through pay to play and fake charities and foundations and all that, right? That you have all these foreign governments, including Canada, gave away how many billions did you look up the other day? We got to get into this one day. Because it's going to foreign governments, but I don't think it's going to foreign governments. It's going to these foundations and these people that are skimming most of it off the top, and it's really not getting to where it's supposed to go to. And then they're just, it's a bunch of pay to play. Like, whether it's foreign governments giving it to the Clinton Foundation, and then they get some sort of special treatment. But that's happening way more. I mean, that's just like the prime example. That's why I think there's so much pushback against this, because this is the vehicle of influence that's happening to help the globalists, and that's what people are starting to unravel. I think that's more of a problem than, making cheap shit in China.
Okay, this next question, once again, I want to get each of your thoughts. This might be a little bit different. Who is your favorite superhero or heroine?
Well, I had a crush on Wonder Woman for quite a while there when I was a kid. And Linda Carter, but...
Batman.
Nice.
You're a Batman guy?
Yeah. I don't even watch Superman. I like Spider-Man too, actually. Spider-Man's pussy. Batman.
I remember watching a Spider-Man show. It was a real show in 1978. And I remember looking forward to it as a kid because it was only on I think it was only 4 or 5 episodes or something, but it was a real guy. It wasn't a cartoon, it was a real show. But nobody seems to remember that. But I don't know, as far as modern day superheroes go,
Iron Man's pretty cool.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have a favorite.
When I was a kid, I loved Transformers. Are they superheroes or?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, I was
Optimus Prime. Something funny over there, Dunlap.
Yeah. Then I'll pick the Dinobots then. What?
What's a Dinobot?
You claim to be a Transformer fan. You don't even know what the Dinobots are?
Like a special episode.
Probably.
You picked a special episode.
Yeah, the Dinobots were pretty cool, but something was wrong with them. They had a learning disability. They were very slow.
Yeah, they were on one show.
I remember that now. You're right. Okay, forget about that.
Okay, let's see. Let's move on from the superheroes. How about 9/11? 9/11 conspiracy theories. Was 9/11 an inside job like so many people claim?
Do you want to start with this one, Darren, or do you want me to?
Well, I don't know who.
Go ahead, because you're the one that's been into this lately.
Who was an inside job or not? It fucking definitely wasn't airplanes.
It definitely wasn't. Did airplanes happen, or was it an illusion?
No, I think airplanes happened.
But that's not what brought the towers down?
They both hit. Maybe it didn't happen. Who knows? I don't get into the planes. I don't get there. I don't care. Other people can deal with the planes. All I really care about are the buildings. That's where my knowledge base is too. So
was it an inside job?
I don't know, but it wasn't airplanes. There's definitely demolition. There's some sort of other technology used to take them down. I know that. I don't know if the government knew or if they were even blown away or who knows what actually happened. I don't know if we'll ever know, but like I say, it did. And even the 28 pages are bullshit. You know what I mean? Yeah. All it says is where the money came from. Okay, well, who the fuck? You guys you're still trying to tell me that it all happened from airplanes?
Yeah, I think we had Joseph Farrell on. That was one of our best episodes, probably. We should have him on again, Darren. And he was talking about the levels. So there's different levels of the conspiracy around this, right? So we have, the planes hitting the building is one level of conspiracy. The towers coming down could be another one. And there could be even a deeper level of the money trail and how that happened. And only a certain amount of people know that, what's going to happen and what to do financially. I mean, maybe the fucking Pentagon room with the CIA, apparently the missing trillions, the accounting office for that was destroyed as well. That Rumsfeld talked about the day before? Was it Rumsfeld the day before? I mean, there's just, if you were to bullet point all the anomalies with the whole...
Corbett does a good bullet point. He's got a 5-minute video that he just does a rundown of right from.
He's not even including everything, though. No, I mean, there's a lot. There's hundreds and hundreds of anomalies, right? Yeah.
He does, it's 5 minutes long. He made it just for the optimum video to share with people who are
who are not buying into it.
Or don't know. You just give them that. It's 5 minutes. It's just blah, 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 one point to the next. And it's just, unbelievable.
So I think part of it was an inside job, but I'm not saying the whole thing was an inside job. Some people knew, and I mean, I'm not saying it was even instigated by the government, but some people had to know that had inside knowledge.
And probably at different levels.
Yeah.
And my next question is, are either of you guys or both of you, are you guys religious at all? Were you raised with religion? Are you religious now? How do you stand on that topic?
Wasn't raised and am not. I'm not an atheist, but I'm not religious.
Yeah, we're both kind of more in the middle, like spiritually inclined, but not religious. But I mean, so I was a Protestant. I guess, but so I went to Sunday school a little bit as a kid, but we were never really a religious family, so I never really grew up religious. And then I went through a short atheistic phase when I was young, and then I became more spiritual. But now I'm wondering about. I do wonder about certain parts of Jesus and good, sort of good versus evil, which don't really fit into the spiritual paradigm. I don't really know how to explain it, but I've looked into possession and stuff a little bit, and there's something going on with that. And then if that's real, and if Jesus plays a part in getting rid of that, is there something there with Jesus? I mean, I really don't like the institution of religion, but there's a spiritual aspect that might be more accurate than anything. And I mean, is what's going on in the world right now, is that, good versus evil?
Wait a second. Sorry to interrupt you, but you said something really interesting just now. What did you mean when you said, Jesus making things go away? Do you mean when people use Jesus to rebuke a spirit?
Yeah. Even if it's just let's say somebody that is having a problem with night terrors or the incubus and succubus, right? One of the things that seems to work for people is to dispel them in the name of Jesus. So
I would argue that could just be the power of the belief, whether it be the patient or the priest.
But maybe they've tried a whole bunch of other things where they've thought they've truly believed in this, right? And then the only thing that works is Jesus. So
having the priest, nobody believes in anything like a priest believes in Jesus.
I'm not talking about a priest. I'm talking about people expelling demons and negative spirits on their own by saying, "You're looking at me like I'm fucking crazy." Do you know what I mean, though?
Yeah, so
right?
Normal people using Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But even people that have abduction experiences, apparently, that would work for most of them. So I don't know. I mean, priests do it, when they're doing exorcisms and stuff. I mean,
I think Jesus was just eating mushrooms.
He could have been.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's my take on that.
So, Darren, you don't have any sort of religion. Were you raised religious or anything like that?
No, not really. No,
He's part native.
I'm part native. So if anything, I would say.
Not that means anything, but
yeah, if anything, I would probably say that they're closer than anything written in a book. But
the native belief system.
Yeah.
The indigenous belief system?
Yeah.
Like more pagan, sort of?
Yeah, definitely more pagan. Great spirit.
Yeah.
But I do my own thing.
Is the pot use, is there a spiritual aspect to that maybe?
There should be. He's trying.
Yeah, sometimes.
We did a show on that. It was really interesting.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, cannabis spirituality.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't need. I don't seem to. I've got enough, great things going on in my life that I don't seem to need to, or how at this point in my life anyway. I've dealt with a lot of death in my life too, so and I definitely don't believe that this is it. So
does it ever go beyond pot? Like, you mentioned shrooms? Do you like to do shrooms and LSD and ayahuasca and stuff like that too?
I like to do shrooms from time to time. That's probably where I draw the line. Yeah, I've had some DMT for a while that I haven't.
You haven't tried yet?
I haven't tried yet. One day I'll get to that.
And you've definitely had your experiences with those.
Yeah. I've had my experiences in the past. Now that I'm a family man, I keep it to organics.
Do your affirmations count as spirituality, Dad?
Yeah.
That's a spiritual thing. That's like prayer.
Well, I didn't say I wasn't not spiritual, but I just don't really.
Yeah, but you were saying you don't need it, but you do affirmations, so maybe you do.
Yeah.
Or do you do affirmations, or is that
I do sometimes.
Do you?
When I think of it. But yeah, I don't know if that's, maybe it all ties in. I probably do a ton of stuff in my day that's a bit spiritual.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, but I just I think that, most of these books that are flying around are just a bunch of trouble.
Now, you guys are up in Canada, so of course I got to ask about this. What are your thoughts on Sasquatch? Is he up there? Have you seen him? Have you ever thought about going and hunting for him, or what?
Well, we have a big ongoing debate on the show about whether or not to shoot him if you see him.
We have T-shirts made. We have T-shirts made around it.
I definitely wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't be surprised someone's going to end up with a tattoo, but I wouldn't rule out its existence. No, I've never seen it, or don't think I'd go hunting for it, or I don't care that much. But if someone says here's a Sasquatch body, I wouldn't be blown away. I'd be like, huh. I mean, I'm excited to see it and everything, but I wouldn't be, it wouldn't break any paradigms for me or anything like that. And if I seen one and I had a gun, I would definitely shoot it.
And I wouldn't shoot it. I would save it.
Darren, what are your reasons for wanting to shoot Bigfoot? And Graham, what are your reasons for not wanting to?
I want to shoot the beast to prove its existence, for one. And then it can maybe end up on a protected species list.
And mine is you're not going to kill it if you shoot it, because you don't. There's been too many stories of people that have tried.
Not an argument.
And what? I'm just going with the odds. I'm not going to be able to kill it anyway. So why try and why? Plus, I don't even like guns and shooting things to begin with. So I don't even want to hunt either. So it's just a wasted effort. He's just going to disappear in front of the bullet, or he's going to take the bullet and fucking give you a smack in the head or whatever. So I do believe there's something going on with Sasquatch. There's been way too many sightings and way too much anecdotal.
Sasquatch, you could dodge bullets and materialize and dematerialize.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's Neo from the Matrix.
Yeah, Graham's fucking Sasquatch is next level.
I want to see that in movie form. I want to see a Sasquatch that's just melting when people take a swing at him and just reappearing and just doing badass stuff. All right, let's move on to music. I'm a real big music guy. I make music and I try to help new artists and stuff like that. But I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you guys listen to? What is it? Classic rock? Is it rock? Is it rap? What are your guys' favorite types of music? Who are your favorite artists? Who do you listen to the most? If you can answer all of those questions.
I used to love Pink Floyd and Zeppelin, these types of things. I grew up in the 80s. I love 80s rock, 80s stuff. Where are you going? And then, I get stuck as a 47-year-old nowadays, and I listen to mainly like audiobooks and podcasts. I have a hard time finding new music that I like, but I also have I do like all kinds of music, but I'm kind of stuck in that old. I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't say. It's not like I'm always stuck in the 80s or whatever, but I do still like that kind of music. And I like electronic music, so I really like all forms of electronic music. But I don't like country. I went through a classical phase. I don't really like jazz or blues or anything like that. So, yeah. But, I mean, you know what has really disappointed me lately is some of my favorite, like, I mean, I used to even like Madonna for a time, right? Some of her stuff. And all these artists that I used to like just being super political and disgustingly, violent, it's kind of changed just like Hollywood as well, it's kind of changed my opinion about the whole thing. I mean, I'm just sort of less interested in that, and I would rather listen to, like some electronic music that I hadn't heard, for example.
Are there any particular electronic music artists that you like?
Well, I love the Orb going way back, but that's pretty out there.
We had him on.
Yeah, we did have one of the creators of the Orb on, but but mainly just all kind. Not really one artist or whatever that stands out. Just a bunch of different guys, different things, different genres.
Could you possibly put together a top 3, or would that be just too hard?
For artists?
Yeah.
For electronic music?
Or not just electronic, but just your top 3 everything.
Yeah, that'd be really hard.
Okay.
I couldn't do it.
Okay, fair enough. That's tough. But how about you, Darren? What's your musical? What do you like? What has been your past history of listening to? Who do you still listen to?
I still listen to a lot of the stuff I was listening to when I was a kid. I guess maybe not. I don't know. It's kind of all over, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. I downloaded some Metallica a couple weeks ago. I was listening to that again. So, that's the kind of shit I was listening to in high school. The Doors are still, probably top of my list. I don't listen to as much Nirvana as I used to, but I still would never turn it off if it came on.
Now, on the Metallica thing, are you one of these guys that only likes old Metallica, or do you like old and new Metallica?
I could probably listen to it all. I haven't listened to a lot of new Metallica, to be honest. I don't listen to a lot of commercial radio.
None, really.
No.
Do you listen to commercial radio at all?
Almost zero.
Yeah.
And this next question, do you guys feel that podcasting will ever completely replace normal terrestrial radio?
Yes. I don't know if it'll still be called podcasting. It'll be different variations of the same thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I think streaming on the internet is the same thing as podcasting in a sense. I don't know. Like, that would be the thing that might be different, is it might turn into streaming radio instead of
on-demand podcasting.
But even at that level, I don't see how it could maintain anymore. Like, I would imagine the numbers, and they're only growing.
I can't even listen to radio now, terrestrial radio. Like, I really have a hard time listening to the ads and listening to the bullshit and listening to I'm so spoiled with listening to what I want to listen to right now at that moment that to go through a bunch of music I don't want to hear right now, I can't even do it.
Oh shit, my mic's stuck again.
Oh.
Yeah, there goes Darren's mic.
Hello?
Oh man. You might have to unplug and replug.
So what kind of music do you play?
Oh, I like classic stuff. Like, I really like Black Sabbath. If I could just listen to one band for the rest of my existence, it'd probably be original Black Sabbath with Ozzy Osbourne, Dio, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember listening to
Hello.
that stuff as a kid. Yeah.
Testing.
My friend's older brother was right into Black Sabbath, so I clearly remember listening to that stuff.
Yeah, I love that shit too.
Yeah.
I could listen to that.
I
love it all day.
I like it because it's trippy and it's kind of got that occult sort of witchy vibe about it.
Yeah.
There's a ton of electronic music I love too, though.
Anybody in particular?
Broke for Free is probably my favorite.
Now, speaking of music, just to circle back a little bit, what do you guys think of this whole thing where these people, these conspiracy researchers, they're going around saying that certain celebrities like Dave Chappelle, Madonna, Britney Spears, they're either mind-controlled slaves, like they're MK Ultra victims, or they are clones. Do you guys feel there's any truth to any of that?
No.
I don't think so either, except that it makes me question when they're so when people like most of the bigger music celebrities are fully into the globalist agenda. That does make me wonder. Like, I wonder why, and I'm going to ask some of our upcoming guests about this that are into this stuff, but
because they live in bubbles.
Is it because we're in a bubble, or is it because they're told they have to do that they're part of the instrument, the instrument of whoever's controlling them, Is it so I don't know. There's something going on there, but I don't think they're. And maybe there's a bit of MK. Maybe there's a bit of MK
canceled, right? Tim Allen got canceled. One of the most, if not the most popular show on cable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What got canceled?
He's saying Tim Allen got canceled, so he's wondering if there's something like that. Like if somebody like Tim Allen's like, no, I'm not gonna, publicly,
wait, you mean
ridicule nationalists or ridicule Trump or whatever, that his show gets canceled, right? Like, he's not playing ball with the globalists, so he gets canceled. But I mean, there could be an MK Ultra aspect to it. I mean, look, we all know that they've done experiments in mind control. And that's kind of happening. There is some interesting messaging going on in there as well. I mean, and now it just doesn't even seem, they choose what songs are going to be fucking played and what are going to be popular. And I mean, that's changing now with the internet, but they do have some control over what we're consuming as a society.
How about Pizzagate? Do you feel that was true, or was that whole thing a hoax?
I think there's something there too. I don't know how much, but there's something going on. When you look at all the pieces of the puzzle and all the evidence, it's pretty creepy. I don't think it's too easy to discount, but I'm not all in on it either. I don't know. But there's definitely, who was it in the UK that got busted there for pedophilia as well? And there was some real fucking uppity ups in the UK that got busted. So there's definitely the pedophilia rings are happening, and whether that Pizzagate thing was a distraction. I mean, there is some really weird coincidences.
There's just a big bust the other day in Australia. One of the highest people in the Vatican.
Yeah. So I mean, I think Pizzagate might have been a bit of a distraction for the more global phenomena or aspect of it going on. I don't know. Yeah.
Now, as far as radio goes, are there any terrestrial radio hosts that you guys have been big fans of? For example, have you guys ever been into Howard Stern?
Not really, no.
No,
I've listened to him
him
on
a bit,
and off,
but yeah.
but I definitely wouldn't call him an influence.
Yeah. I just never really got into talk radio.
But a silly hobby that kind of just kept going and got out of control, really.
This thing, the podcast?
The podcast, yeah.
Yeah, but that also, for me, it forces me to listen to more of what we're doing, right? So I'm sort of more down the, audiobooks and podcasts, and radio is just not on my radar right now.
How often do you do your show? And if you could, would you guys turn it into a 5-day-a-week thing?
We do it weekly, at least weekly. We're going to be putting out more content soon, actually. And
I don't think we'd ever do more than twice a week. Maybe 3 times would be pushing it. You can't give your audience too much. If you're going to do 5 days a week, you'd have to go down to an hour or less, because these people only have so much time, and you can't be obnoxious and assume that you're the only person they want to listen to all the time.
Yeah, and then we have jobs, and we can't. I mean, we're not going to make a living at this for a while down the road, if ever. So it's just too much time. We're just about maxed out as it is right now for time.
Very understandable. I have similar issues. It's just hard to do. I mean, I don't get paid to do this either. I make minus something because I got to pay for the hosting and all of that. It's purely out of the goodness of my own spirit. That's about it.
Yeah, I like that. I make minus something. Yeah, that's what we should talk about for asking, because we asked. I mean, we didn't even want to ask for donations, and then we realized how much we're spending, and we're like, we better start asking for help. And luckily, there's a lot of people that will donate, but it's still not enough to cover everything,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's something you really just have to love doing, and you can't really have expectations like, oh, I'm going to get rich or anything like that, because it's really hard to make anything at all doing podcasting. The industry just isn't really there yet, from what I can tell.
Yeah. Especially if you don't want to go down the commercial route. We don't want to have ads ever.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
I respect that a lot. Now, moving on to the topic of ancient aliens. We did touch on this briefly, but I'd like to hear each of your thoughts. Is it possible that aliens created us? And if so, are they still here?
Yes, and possibly. Yes, and yes on and off. I think it's possible.
I'm going to go with no and no. Well, no, I can't. For possible, I can't say. No, I can't say it's not possible. But if you ask me if I think so, then I would say no and no. If we're talking about possibilities, the realm of possibilities, then I would have to say yes and yes as well.
So here, I go out for CSETI nights every once in a while. I'm going to be doing one in a couple weeks. And I've seen stuff when I'm out with people meditating on contact, right? So to me, I see these big flash bulbs in the sky. A bunch of us see them. It's nothing you would ever see normally. So what is that? Is that, what is it then, Darren? You're looking at me like, I mean, really?
I heard the story so many times.
I know, but what is it, right? But what is it? So how do you? The chances are, if you were to talk about,
I can't come see these things for myself.
No, well, until you improve your attitude about it, your negativity, you can't come. It's all about your weakest link and the intention.
You can't get a video.
So anyways, the point is, if you were to go with Occam's razor or something, and you're out there trying to make contact, and something happens where the group sees this big flash bulb in the sky multiple times, both sides, the other, it was also on the other side, and the other half of the group saw it. What is it? The Occam's razor's, maybe it's ET.
I'm sorry. I got to hear this all the way from
for Occam's razor.
This is super interesting. I want to hear this from the beginning. So you're saying you went to? Is this CSETI? Is this a thing in Eastern Washington that you're talking about?
No, actually they just did something in Eastern Washington, I think, but there's different groups now, right? So we have a group in Calgary that go out and we try and make contact, right? You have the protocols that you'd follow, like you do meditations and you do some sort of remote viewing visualizations, and you're in a, it's at night, it's dark, and and then you watch the skies. You have instruments with you to measure stuff as well. Every group is a little bit different, but we have one here in Calgary, and they're all over the world. There's the official Stephen Greer CSETI groups, and then there's also some other groups that are not part of that. ET Let's Talk is another one, and they have 100 and something groups around the world, and people have legit sightings constantly in these things. So I've had some myself. They haven't been totally crazy sightings, but enough to go, what's going on here? Maybe it's a fucking black budget aircraft, human operated monitoring these groups. I mean, I'm not putting that out of the question either, but that's definitely not the simplest explanation.
So you guys got in a circle, you joined hands, and you meditated, and then suddenly this thing appeared?
No, we don't join hands. And it wasn't suddenly. We were sitting out there for quite a while. Ideally, it would be suddenly, and you could pack up and go home. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of different.
So you guys were out there a good an hour or so before the UFO showed
I'm
up.
not out there.
Oh yeah, we're going for an overnighter. Like we'll be out there for hours, sitting just under the stars, right? Sky watching, basically sky watching under the stars.
And was this up in the outer atmosphere, like up by the stars, or was it down close to where you guys were at? Was it close or was it far away?
It was like halfway.
And what did it look like?
It was like what I saw was just a flash bulb multiple times, like a big flash. So it was like a flash bulb, but higher up than air traffic, but not like way up in the stars.
Last week?
What?
Was it just last week?
What was just last week?
Flash bulbs?
No.
Okay. No. The Presage media shower would have peaked last.
No, it's nothing like that. You see all kinds of shooting stars. You see all kinds of satellites. You see all kinds of meteor showers. You see all that stuff as well. No, you just see the odd fucking anomaly that makes you wonder.
You know what I'm going to try to do next? Somebody came on the show as one of my guests. I forget which one, but he said that if you get a pair of night vision binoculars, you can go outside just about any night and see all kinds of UFOs just all over the sky.
Yeah, it's a little tougher than you try. Some people have night vision stuff that then they bring them binoculars, and it's hard to see stuff sometimes. You got to have really good high end ones, I think. So just be careful with those expectations, because it's I've seen those videos as well where you see all kinds of shit flying around. It's tough to, especially if you have a binocular that's not the best quality. It's not quite the same as those real high end military grade ones.
You see a lot more of that stuff when you're close to the equator, because that's where all the satellites are.
Well, then we're not talking about satellites. We're talking about UFOs. It's easy to tell the difference. Mr. Skeptic over here.
I don't know. One day you'll have to take me out.
Yeah, maybe.
When my attitude improves.
How about alien abductions? What is, in your guys' opinions, what is the purpose of alien abductions? Why are they taking people and doing weird experiments to them?
I think it's a DMT release while you're sleeping and you're tripping out.
What's triggering it?
Who knows?
It's
interdimensional extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Interterrestrials.
Yeah, I'd almost agree with you there. And there's too many parallels with DMT trips and people are having abductions, right? Darren? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. There's been too many MyLabs as well to discount this being part of the intelligence community or black intelligence community or Illuminati or something doing experiments on us, because they can't just do them on us with us knowing. So maybe they're taking people as well. It's hard. So I don't know. That's another, I try not to have too many answers, right, and dogmatic views on this. I think it could be a variety of a lot of stuff as well. Maybe there was some real ET abductions, but maybe some of it's DMT and maybe some of it's just the military industrial complex doing experiments on people.
Yeah, there's a very strong possibility of that. They've certainly told us and done a lot of fucked up shit to us, so who knows?
Yeah. And when you look at some of these one of these high-tech labs in the States too, they're building like soft matter. Like, what the fuck is soft matter, right? And then you got guys like Stephen Greer talking about them making, basically biological entities. So, I mean, they could be, who knows
sex
what's
robots.
out there. Yeah. Abduction sex robots, yeah.
Okay, this next question, this is another unconventional, non-paranormal one. But what I'd like each of you guys to answer is, who do you think is the best looking female in the world, period? And I'll go ahead and go first. I'm going to go with Jennifer Aniston. Go ahead.
I'll go with my wife.
Oh my God, you suck.
Good answer. Good answer.
Next, I'll go with Graham's mom.
This is where the mom jokes come in. Eh? Good one. That's good. Oh man.
I don't know. I don't really pay attention enough to the. What movie did I watch the other day? I wouldn't know her name. She didn't look so good after her leg got fucking bit off by that shark either.
Who's the one that played in Tron?
I haven't seen Tron.
In Tron, what's her name? It might be her. I have to do a quick search on her.
Hey Siri, who played Tron?
No, not Tron. In Tron.
Hey Siri, who's the girl from the new Tron?
I'm not sure.
Oh, you got the British voice in there.
Yeah, the girl wasn't listening. Hey Siri, who's the girl in Tron?
I found some selections. It's that girl. The girl who played with fire.
He's such a fucking idiot. And AI is just like right around the corner.
Olivia, I think. Olivia Munn, maybe?
Olivia Newton-John?
Yeah, Olivia Munn, I think. Yeah, I'll go with her.
Okay, good choice. Next question. How do each of
guys?
you...
Who's the best looking guy?
No, we're not going to go there. How do you guys feel about flat Earth? Is it possible that the Earth could be flat, or is it just stupid as hell? Go ahead and answer.
Stupid.
I feel like I'm repeating my answer, but again, we wanted to do an episode on this, but we haven't quite got there.
I'm reluctant.
I feel like there's a lot of interesting of what people think is evidence of a flat Earth, and I'm interested in what's making these people think there's a flat Earth, but I really have a hard time buying the full-blown flat Earth conspiracy. Like, I can't. There's too many images of the Earth being round, and there's too many spacecraft out there. There's just too much.
Too many planes flying around and boats.
Well, no, that doesn't have anything to do with it.
Doesn't matter.
They could be flying around if it's flat too. That doesn't mean that has nothing to do with it being round.
Navigation would be the same if it was. You wouldn't have to. You don't think you have to course correct on a globe that you wouldn't have to do on a.
Why is there no flights from? This is one of the big conspiracies,
right? Over Antarctica because it's just too far. You need airports just in case.
No, come on. There's a no-fly zone around Antarctica. You're not allowed to go over Antarctica.
Well, it's not because the Earth is flat.
That's a different conspiracy.
That's
right?
a different.
Okay.
Nazi gold.
Can you fly from South America to Australia?
Yeah, you go you ping up and down.
Well, why do you ping up?
Well, what else would you do?
You wouldn't have to if it was round, but if it's flat, you're too far away.
You would just go straight over Antarctica.
See, that's what they say, right? There's no, right? So that's part of the argument. There's no flights.
I think we've wasted enough time.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. But yeah, I find it hard to buy the whole thing.
But that is a good point. There is something weird going on with Antarctica. It seems that you can't really fly over it, or you can't really travel there. You can go and visit some of the outside islands, but they won't let anybody actually go to the South Pole.
I think there's pyramids and shit there or something.
Yeah, entrance to the inner
something.
Earth.
I think it's ancient civilization, something or other.
You think so? I think it's deeper than that. It's more extravagant than that. There's that ancient civilization stuff all over the place.
Oh, this is different.
This is different, like surefire proof of advanced ancient civilizations. That's what you're going with?
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, speaking of inner Earth, we did touch on this a little bit, but what are your guys' thoughts on this whole reptilian thing? David Icke, reptilians living in the Earth, reptilian shapeshifters posing as humans, the royal family, the Queen, Prince Charles, all being reptilian aliens. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I'm not really too interested in it. I don't know. I don't really see a lot of, I don't know. I'm not buying into it really.
No, me either. I think any of that old literature is more to do with like old bloodlines, maybe, because I mean everyone's got a little reptile on them.
But having said that, it is interesting how the ayahuasca
or whatever that shit you're always talking is.
Or H negative? No, but it's interesting how there is snakes and dragons and stuff are such a part of our fear, and such a part of our history and culture. Like, and even the ayahuasca, the mother ayahuasca is a reptile. Like, there's part of that, and I don't know if that's like an archetypal thing or if there's something deeper to that. But that is an interesting aspect of it.
And what are your thoughts on one of the biggest, most popular, most notable guys in the conspiracy world? I'm talking about Alex Jones. What do you guys think of him?
I think he's spouting more truth than the mainstream media right now. That's for sure. I think he's on top of a lot of what's going on.
Like, honestly, trying to reel it in and straighten it out. Well, he seems like he has a chance,
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like he's doing good work. I think he's trying. People say he's a controlled opposition. He's a shill, blah, blah, blah. I don't really see that myself. I like how he sells what I think are as legit products to support his show. And he doesn't do other ads. I mean, he does ads, but they're like sort of his ads or different types of ads. It's not the same type of corporate bullshit as the pharmaceutical industry and the mainstream media. And I feel like he's on top of what's going on more than most people right now. So I've got time for him right now, actually, but I haven't always been following him or a listener or anything like that. But right now, if you want to hear some interesting stuff from the other side, he's pretty good go-to. What do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that he is a controlled opposition. He's some kind of fake something or another, a disinformation agent. He's been linked to an organization called Strafta, as well as just being somebody that goes on air like a cartoon character, ranting and raving. And as you could tell by the look in his eyes, he doesn't really seem to care about anything that he's talking about.
Oh, really? You think so? Yeah. So what's his agenda, though? That's what I don't understand. Like, if he's controlled opposition, like, what is he trying to do to
60 million a year in supplements?
Just to keep people polarized? Like, I don't really.
Yeah, that's a great question. And my theory, if you look at his career, he started off as just like this local radio guy, this normal sort of thing. And then he became this guy talking about things like Y2K, the Russians. There was a lot of fear mongering, a lot of riling people up. And then he got really deep into the conspiracy stuff, and supposedly he was able to sneak into Bohemian Grove. I mean, that would be impossible for anybody, let alone somebody that's recognizable and notable like him. And now look what's happening. He's completely gone full circle, and he's turned his whole InfoWars thing into like this Republican right-wing thing. So he's taken all those conspiracy people that might have gone way deeper into it, and he's brought them back into the mainstream. He's brought them back into the Matrix.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it. I can see what you're saying. I mean, I think that the Bohemian Grove thing, I mean, so you think he was led into Bohemian Grove? That whole video was real, but he was just like sort of let in the back door kind of thing? Like, why would they even want anybody to show that? I mean, that's what... I see what you're saying about the future, but I don't think the past, I don't think he was well known enough to be recognized in Bohemian Grove at the time. That was quite a while ago, but yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, that very well could be the case. I just find it very hard to believe that anybody would be able to sneak in that place at all, let alone with a video camera, and be able to take the footage out. And the fact that he's saying that he personally did it, I find that very suspicious.
Wasn't he on it, though?
No. It was just Somebody filming.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and it was just the before and after shots and stuff like that. So you don't really know if it was him in there or not.
Yeah.
His name vouched for him though. That British guy
investigator
writer said it was he that Alex Jones was actually just tagging along with him. It was originally his plan, I thought.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah, we were gonna have him on at some point.
I mean, there was a guy that was for real and was looking into this stuff. His name was William Cooper, and we know what happened to him.
Yep.
He get shot?
Pretty much. Not that it's funny at all, but yeah, he got shot. But that does...
that's a tough one, man. He has gotten political, but it to me it's almost like that was inevitable with what's going on. Like that's the other side of, you know, whether it's controlled opposition or not. That's kind of the other side of it's the resistance, which almost has to, somebody's got to. I don't know. That's really interesting. I mean, what would happen if he wasn't down that path? We'd be fucking full into globalism right now, really. Now, why would you want to oppose that if you were the New World Order or the Illuminati or whatever?
This does beg a very important question for me and for you guys. Do you guys ever get worried that this could be dangerous, looking into this stuff and bringing on the type of people that you bring onto your show? Are you afraid that there could be some kind of backlash someday, that somebody might show up on your doorstep or something like that?
I don't think so. Not really. I mean, I think once we get to a point where we're big enough to worry about it, maybe. But right now, we're just not even on the radar. You know, even though we're happy with our growth and we're happy with our listenership and we're happy with our listeners and all that. Like we don't take any of this for granted. We're really pleased with how things have gone. We couldn't have asked for it to go any better. But having said that, I don't think we're big enough for anybody to worry about.
We still don't have trouble crossing the border. Once you have trouble getting over the border, then we'll know where.
Yeah, I got over the border a couple of weeks ago, went to the Red Pill Expo, and I mean, it was no problem getting across there.
Do you mean you jumped the border?
No, just going through. Like, I mean...
Oh, okay. I was like, why did you have to do that? Why didn't you just drive through?
No, just going through, like, with them, you know, asking questions or looking us up. Like, you know, there's nothing flagged, right? I mean, there's no problems getting around. I don't think, you know, I mean, maybe if our YouTube started getting 50,000 views, I think that seems to be maybe the one of the thresholds. I mean, we're close to that on a couple, but, you know, I think there's probably a number that triggers some closer scrutiny, and I don't think we're there yet.
One of these days,
if we get there,
everything's going to change. You guys are going to become like this Republican show. What happened? They got to
exactly.
them.
They're shills. They're fucking controlled opposition. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
And my next question, I want to ask you guys about your thoughts about paranormal abilities like telepathy, telekinesis, remote viewing. Is this stuff real? Is it possible? Go ahead and answer.
Yeah, it's real. It's possible. I think some people have a knack for it. Some people can learn it. Yeah.
There definitely seems to be something there.
Have you guys ever experienced anything like that?
Nah, nothing more than like deja vu.
Synchronicities, pretty intense synchronicities, but lucid dreaming could be in that category too, like real intense precognitive dreams, that type of thing. Yeah, I've experienced some pretty good. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. It can be so speculative. That's the thing, right? You don't know if you're making shit up or like if you go back into past lives and stuff like that. I mean, but no, I haven't really experienced too much of it directly. True abilities like that. My sister's had some pretty interesting psychic readings and stuff like that have sort of blown us away. About our dad who passed away. There's some pretty. She seems to be really intuitive and needs to build her her psychic side a little bit.
Oh, okay. So she's actually gotten something like results.
Yeah. Some pretty intense direct results about specific things that she went in looking for answers on and didn't say anything, and she's gotten some pretty good direct answers. And she runs into this, she just like, sort of runs into intuitive stuff all the time. Like she's sort of in tune with what's going on. But I mean, so, you know, I mean, that's just directly because she's, you know, we talk all the time and she's directly related to me. So it's just one of those things that's sort of on my radar. But I mean, as far as, you know, my own paranormal abilities, they suck. Besides being able to summon a flashbulb in the middle of a circle jerk.
Circle jerk? Now we're talking. Yeah, I have no abilities.
It's just try that DMT, and I'm sure something will happen.
Exactly. I'm waiting for that.
We tried some experiments when I was tripping on mushrooms. No luck.
Now, this question, we probably sort of covered it, but I wanted to ask each of you, out of all of the shows that you've done, out of all of the topics that you've covered, what is your favorite topic of all of them, all the paranormal topics? What are your favorites?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I don't know. I like this. I like some of the spiritual ones, but the consciousness... I don't know. That's a tough question. Consciousness studies and that type of thing. I don't know. That's pretty good for me. I think those topics. And the UFOs. I mean, that's another favorite topic for sure. We haven't really touched on that in a while.
Yeah, I don't. My favorites are the ones on the nature of reality, I think. Yeah.
The digital universe type stuff, or
and matter and antimatter.
Yeah.
Space and planets. And
yeah, we had some really interesting episodes on the growing Earth with Neil Adams, who really showed some interesting pictures of planets and moons, and how that might be growing through pair production instead of just what's the other word? Not accrelation, accretion. And what else? The electric universe as well, which kind of sort of feeds into Darren's sort of simulation theory stuff. But like those sort of overarching, like theory of everything, nature of reality type shows are kind of both of our favorites.
Now that does beg another question. How about, what do you guys think of this idea that we're in some kind of simulation or in some kind of matrix?
I think it's just as possible as any of the other theories, if not more.
Yeah, me too. When you look at synchronicities, it feels to me like it's somebody playing a game.
Fractals.
You know, somebody getting a fucking bonus points for creating a synchronicity in the digital universe, you know, something like that.
And I did also want to ask you guys, are you a fan of any sports? Do you watch MMA at all? Do you watch pro wrestling at all? Anything like that?
I watch some Flames games from time to time, or a Blue Jays game. That's baseball and hockey. Yeah. Probably watch more hockey than I do baseball. Don't really watch anything else, and I don't watch much of those.
I don't watch anything anymore. I don't watch any sports at all. I don't really watch TV much, but I play hockey. I like sports. Like, I'm more athletic than anything as far as that goes. Like, I'm more of an athlete than an artist for sure. So I play sports, but I don't watch it. I don't follow it.
And I wanted to talk a little bit more about radio and podcasting. I wanted to ask you guys, once again, in your opinions, what makes a radio show or a podcast good? What ingredients makes a show good?
I think genuineness and honesty, probably, and I think for me, it's just not being scripted as well. Like, now going back to watching or listening to mainstream media or TV, it seems fake, right? I like sort of unscripted conversations like what we're having now, or questions, and how we got on the air and we just started talking. Right? You didn't give us questions ahead of time. We weren't prepared really. So that's kind of what attracts me to it. And sound quality is a big one for me too.
Consistency.
Consistency.
Yeah, sound quality can be a bitch.
Yeah, I won't listen to bad audio. There's too much good audio out there for me to waste any time listening to bad audio.
I think that's what keeps a lot of people from doing this. They sit there and they struggle trying to sound good, and then they give up, whereas other people that have some kind of professional sponsorship, whether they're hooked up with Podcast One or whatever, they have great audio right from the start.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we have a mixer here, and Darren, do you want to explain?
We have a whole fucking sound room. We do live to tape. So basically, we could be broadcasting live or recording or taking Skype calls or doing whatever we want at any time, and it can be live or recorded or anything. We basically have low end fucking radio studio.
The only problem is it's not portable as far as podcasting goes. So we have to decide when we go portable, we have to figure out which way to go, which can be a pain in the ass. You either go all digital on a Mac or something with some USB mics, or you can bring a digital recorder and use XLR mics, that kind of thing.
I'd say we're way, way, way over and above what most people are doing.
Would you, or have you, ever gone on a ghost hunt?
No.
Yeah, have I? I think I might have, and I would for sure.
How about you, Darren?
Oh yes, I have. Yes, I have. With my paranormal meetup group way back when, a couple years ago. Yeah, for sure.
I'm too busy to just go walking around looking for ghosts.
They got to come to you, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, and we talked about music, we talked about movies, but what about TV shows? Are there any particular TV shows that you guys watch? For example, are you fans of Game of Thrones?
I am, yeah, totally.
I've never seen.
I'm a fantasy fan, so I do. I've liked those. I read those books, listened to some audiobooks of his. I didn't actually make it all the way through, so Game of Thrones went past where I was in the books, but. Yeah, I'm a huge fantasy fan, so I've read a lot of those types of books and sci-fi and fantasy. And Game of Thrones is awesome. And Lord of the Rings and that kind of thing. I even watched the Shannara Chronicles, which was okay.
I watched the season of House of Cards. That's sick of it.
How about?
I've never watched any Game of Thrones yet.
How about Trailer Park Boys? Do you guys watch that show?
Oh yeah, I think I've seen most of those.
The movies or the shows?
The shows.
You've seen most of those shows? Wow. I haven't seen that in about 10 years, probably 12 years.
Now,
it's ridiculous at this point.
Is it? Yeah.
It's pretty out of control.
I went as Julian for Halloween once because I had a goatee and.
Nice.
Yeah. That was pretty lame.
No, that's awesome. That's a great costume. You got respect for that.
I went walking around with a cup full of ice and water. It was during work. I was at work at the time, so it was a comfortable costume to wear.
Those guys
better than Frodo with my cat's hair on my feet.
Those guys are on Netflix now, making tons of money.
Are they? Yeah.
Now, next question. If you guys could go back in time and change anything, what would you go back in time and change?
About our personal lives, or about the world?
Anything.
I would save JFK.
Ooh, nice one.
Huh. I would probably stop the CIA from being created after Roswell.
Those are good choices.
Such a one-upper.
because the CIA was like a couple months after Roswell. That we were talking about the other night. In 47, everything changed.
Well, you might be onto something.
The military, the CIA, the intelligence community formed. The fucking Roswell happened. Like, it was fucking crazy, a crazy year. Like, I feel like that's when the military-industrial complex and the whole fucking thing just started shutting everything down.
And what are your greatest, individually, what are your greatest fears? What scares you the most? What is your all-time most horrifying thing, period? I'll say mine, just to make you guys feel a little more comfortable about it. Spiders.
As I'm looking at I think I saw something flying around the wall there. I don't know if that's a spider or not. Darren, what's your fear?
I don't like snakes, man.
Really?
Yeah. Fucking not down with snakes. And I have trouble with the ocean.
The ocean.
Limiting it mostly.
Is it sharks or is it just the expanse of the ocean?
Probably a combination of a few things.
Jellyfish?
I'd hate to get eaten by a fish. That definitely isn't on my list.
So you'd rather, you can swim in a lake, no problem, but an ocean freaks you out?
Yeah, I'll do it, but yeah. I'll do it. I'm not thrilled about it.
I don't know. Noises when I'm camping. I mean, I can't really say, I'm not really scared of much, but when I'm in a tent.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Did you get scared and not leave your tent the whole time last time?
Well, I didn't want to peek. I didn't want to get out. Yeah, I heard noises outside, and I was fucking pretty scared. But that's all. It wasn't a fear of anything. Probably a wild animal, I guess, or I wasn't really thinking of anything.
A bear.
Like, you know.
Beast.
Yeah. But it was probably something small. It was probably something small 100 meters away. It just sounded like it was something big right next to the tent. So yeah, I don't know. That's other than that. Yeah.
Okay, and since we're talking about scary stuff, what are in your guys' opinions, what is the scariest horror movie of all time?
Halloween, probably. Fuck, that was freaky. The Halloween series. I'm not really into horror. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I've got a lame, 80s type answer.
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of horror movies either.
Freddy was Friday the 13th was a little scary too.
Friday the 13th, Pet Sematary left a mark on me. See, Pet Sematary would probably be cheesy if I watched it now. But I remember being super scared by that back in the day.
Yeah.
Pet Sematary is pretty freaky when that little kid is running around trying to kill people. I hate that. Ugh.
Yeah. And Buddy gets his face ripped off by the dirt bike tire.
Now, this is a question I love to ask everybody. Are we in some type of end of day scenario, some type of revelation, some kind of awakening? Are we in some kind of special time period?
Yeah, I feel like we are. I feel like, I also feel like we've been saying that for a while, but these are really interesting times. I mean, with the internet and with information coming to people like it's never been before, and this whole, especially now with the whole exposure of the corruption at the highest levels, and I don't know. I mean, even though there's a lot of people that are still asleep, like, I feel like there's something going on. And then there's disclosure, which, people say disclosure is going to happen, but it's a slow drip compared to, the government's telling us that we've been visited by ETs. I mean, there's that whole part of it. I mean, could that be part of the end of days? Could it just be, a huge civil war or a nuclear war? I mean, there's all these possibilities on the table, and it does feel like things are accelerating. I mean, it could even be a meteor again. It's not going to take much more of a meteor than the one that happened in Chelyabinsk a couple years ago. That'll destroy a city. I mean, that's, there's a lot of things that could happen. I mean, I don't really like thinking negatively, but it, I feel like something does need to shift. I think we're sort of living in the matrix right now, and it would be nice if there was some great awakening or great shift, and maybe it takes, extraterrestrial visitation to do that, or maybe it takes, I don't know what you pictured, Dan, as an end of days thing. I mean, is it a religious thing? I mean, I don't know. I think of it more as either ET or global war as opposed to something spiritual or religious.
Fair enough.
What about just societal collapse?
I feel like it has to collapse before it gets better in a way.
That's always on the table.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan, about that?
Oh, I really don't know. I think that there's something going on because, for example, if I look at when your guys' show started and when mine started, it was all kind of around that 2012 time period that everybody is talking about, right? So maybe some kind of awakening did take place. Maybe there's a lot of people out there that some light bulb went on in their head and they thought to themselves, hey, there's some fucking crazy shit going on out there. We got to let other people know.
Exactly. Like when you think about
it, it's something that said if the Mayans were off by 5 years, it would have only been 0.02%.
What does that mean? 0.02% of what?
On their 2012. If 2012 was actually a cataclysmic date.
I still don't understand the point of that.
So if they were off by 5 years on their calculation of their calendar of that December 21st, 2012, that would only be a 0.02%
error.
Yeah. That would, even if they were 50 years off, that would still be less than 0.5%.
I still don't know what the point is of that, though. What does that matter? How far off?
I guess it just means that
something could still be happening.
Fucking happen anytime. Like what did fucking Ronald Carlson say? It was probably more like a 70 or 80 year window.
Right.
Yeah.
And the great year comes into play too. Like there is fucking
maybe they're at a half a great year.
Yeah, which is really interesting because there is galactic phenomena going on, or galactic, repositioning all the time, right? The half a great year, if we're at that, maybe there is a different change into a golden age or out of a golden age or whatever age we're in. I can't remember, but yeah, I agree with you, Dan. Like 2012, maybe there was. I mean, think about how different it is right now compared to then, just 3 or 4 short years later.
I also feel like there's something really weird about 9/11. I feel like ever since 9/11 happened, everything was just a lot weirder.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, lots of people waking up and lots of people stuck in this paradigm where, it's couldn't be your government, couldn't be an inside job. Well, what do you think about 9/11 as far as inside job goes?
Oh, I'm a nutcase. I believe it was a complete conspiracy that right after it happened, you had the Homeland Security thing. You have all that bullshit where supposedly they found the passport like a couple blocks away and it was in perfect condition, the passport of one of the hijackers. Then you have the whole Building 7 thing. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. A lot of the people that supposedly died in the planes, they can't even find any record of them. But in terms of why do I think it happened, I do think that it was some kind of great event to usher us into a new age. Somehow, I don't know if it was psychic energy, I don't know what it was, but somehow doing that thing that happened in 9/11, it gave them the ability to cause us to allow them to spy on us. We gave them permission. They got permission to spy on us because of the tragedy. I think that that's a major thing that can't be ignored.
Yeah. And do you think it's backfired now?
No.
Do you think that agenda is still moving forward as planned, or do you think that it's actually now getting backfired?
I think it's moving along full steam ahead. Like Donald Trump, for example. I got really into Donald Trump. I was encouraging all my friends and family to vote for him, and I voted for him. I did everything that I could to support him. But what I've come to find is it just seems like that he's doing a lot of the same stuff that the last president did and the last president did. It seems like there is an agenda there, and regardless of who wins, whether it's the right or the left, the agenda just keeps pushing forward. I don't think anything has really stopped in terms of the spying, getting us to give up our rights. That seems to be the main thing.
Well, what about What about all the stuff he has done, like the TPP canceling and the Paris Accord?
Oh,
and all that good stuff.
Well, I do like some of the stuff that he's done. I do like the fact that he doesn't back down. I like the fact that he put CNN in its place and some of these dumbass celebrities. But I don't really know that Trump is for the little guy. It seems like he's very tied up in the the super rich corporations and all of that. But at the same time, I don't think that it's so black and white as you can say that a guy like Trump or somebody like Obama is necessarily directly a part of some kind of conspiracy. Now, somebody like Hillary Clinton, maybe, because there's just so much shit that's tied to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. There's no right answer.
Totally tough, because he really was an outsider. I mean, or I didn't think he was an outsider, but he really is seeming to be more of an outsider. The farther we go on and the more attacks, like the genuine attacks, and the more people are just flipping out over nothing, out of stuff that he may do or stuff that they thought he said. Just the sheer amount of fucking hate and violence that you're seeing from his opposition, like, it does seem like maybe he is a genuine outsider. Maybe he's not part of the deep state, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely a good argument. That's why I was so pro-Trump. I was like #1 Trump supporter, and I can't really say that he's done anything that has ticked me off or gotten me angry. I've mostly agreed with everything that he's doing. One thing is for sure, it seems like it goes right, left every 8 years. So I had no doubt that a Republican would get elected, just like I have no doubt that a Democrat will be back in there after another 8 years.
So why do you say you were a Trump supporter then? Is there something that changed that you're wondering more now about it, or?
It's more just me kind of just becoming jaded and seeing how everything is just the same system. And whereas I was hoping that Trump would come in here and make all of these changes and expose all of these people, it seems to me that he's just like business as usual. A lot of the same stuff that Obama was doing. It seems like Trump is maybe there's small differences, like the left versus the right. There's little things that are being done different, like, passing out free stuff for poor people and stuff like that. That's stuff you'll get from the Democrats. But when it comes to going to the Middle East and having a conflict with this or that country, I don't see a big difference between a Trump, an Obama, or a Bush.
Yeah, that might take a while to show a difference there. And I know what you mean, and I do agree with you that it would have been nice to see more people being exposed and arrested, because the amount of shit that he gets accused of, the other side is like fucking 10 times worse, and they should be, having the book thrown at him. But I mean, I don't know, maybe he's just too busy defending himself right now to even fucking deal with that. I mean, he might not even have enough support to do those kinds of things. Like he might have to prove himself a little bit to some of the deep state to even be able to do that. I don't know. It's so strange, because I really do feel like he genuinely wants good for the people, but I don't, and I expected more of that sort of, I don't know, arrests or exposure to happen as well.
Well, this is where I stand on it. If he does what he promised and he improves the economy, it doesn't have to be drastic. He just has to get the needle moving in a positive direction. If he can do that, if he can put more money in my pocket, the person I really care the most about, then at the end of 8 years, I'm going to give him a big double thumbs up for his term.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to just see if anything changes. It definitely doesn't seem like much is changing yet, but he did do a couple of things he said he was going to do.
I mean, the Paris thing is huge. Yeah. I mean, that's a big
the Paris thing's like, what, $100 billion or something like that.
But it's huge as far as an example goes as well, saying that he's going to stand up and say no to this bullshit, this hoax, this fucking global warming hoax.
Yeah, that whole thing is pretty funny. A lot of people are very angry.
Yeah. And I'm not saying the Earth's not warming. I'm not a full denier to that. I just don't know what we play a role in the climate, of course, but how much of a role is one thing, and whether we should, tax us like this. Like we pay a carbon tax now. I think it's complete bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to tell because, for one thing, I see these planes leaving chemtrails all the time, and I have my suspicions about that. They don't seem like they're just normal everyday contrails or whatever they call them. A lot of times it looks like they're actually crisscrossing the sky with some kind of weird chemical. I don't know what they're doing or why, but there seems to be something going on with our environment, with our atmosphere that we're not aware of.
Exactly. Plus, there's a ton of evidence in geoengineering that they actually are fucking around with the weather, and they've been doing it for decades. So how is that taken into account? That's not taken into account. So Russia can create millions of acres full of cloud or not cloud, or create rain, or fucking, dry things up, and it's not taken into account anywhere. Millions of acres. Like, why are they, so there's a whole bunch of, missing pieces to that puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, I could say here locally, I know there's not as many fish as there should be in the water. I know there's not orcas and stuff that should be in there. They've been chased out by the military or by pollution or something. I could say that there's not buffalo roaming the plains. There's a lot of stuff that was there that's not anymore.
Where are you on the West Coast in California?
Yeah, I'm up here or down here in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, you're in Seattle. Oh, cool. Yeah.
I'm almost Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. You're as close to Canadian as, maybe Buffalo and Seattle are probably.
I love Seattle.
You should come down here. We'll smoke a doobie.
Yeah, I was there a few months ago. I might be there in August. We'll see if I have time.
I don't smoke, though. I just eat it. So you'll have to eat some brownies or something.
No, just wait a couple hours.
Yeah, exactly. But unfortunately, we are approaching the end of the interview. We went a little bit over, but it's all right. We're having a great time. But I did want to go ahead and just open things up and give you guys, take as long as you want. If you want to jump back up on the soapbox just one more time and just say whatever you want to say, if you want to give some final words to my audience, and then feel free to go ahead and follow that up with any sort of plugs or anything that you would like to plug.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thanks for having us on, and it's been fun. It's kind of nice to be on the other side of things for once. And I think we're living in an interesting time where we can have these conversations and anybody can listen to it for basically free. And I think that's changing things slowly. And it's just great to be a part of that conversation and a part of the dialogue. We could not agree on everything, but we can discuss stuff, right? And it's nice to be a part of that instead of being stuck in the polarizing mainstream where you can't even have discussions about things and disagree on things. So that's it's nice. And so we're at Grimerica.ca. Our podcast is free. There's no sponsors, no ads. We do long conversations like this. And we are starting up a new feed for subscribers. We're going to try that route, and that's going to be available to people whether they donate $1 a month or a one-time donation of whatever. So it's totally open to whatever kind of donation, but we're gonna start just extra content. So nothing's gonna change in our normal feed. If we do 4 or 5 episodes a month, that's not gonna change. We're just gonna add a bunch of extra content to our new feed. Darren, you wanna say something?
Yeah, thanks for having us on the show. I'm not going to get on my soapbox, I don't think. I'm not really ranty about anything. I was ranting earlier today, so I'm all ranted out. But
what were you ranting about?
That payout to that terrorist. But I'm not going to
the Canadian one.
Yeah.
So it's actually paid? The money's been paid then?
Yeah.
10 million of our tax dollars?
10.5.
There you go.
Yeah. Bingo, bango.
Good job, Canada, leading the way.
Leading the way in terrorist support.
Social justice warriorism.
Yeah, check out the show, Grimerica.ca. Check out Rips. Yeah, that's about it. Everything you need to know is on Grimerica.ca.
He was about to do our show spiel there.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. And I had a great time, and I'd love to get you guys back on here in the future.
Thanks, man. If you're ever in Calgary, look us up and you can come to the studio.
Yeah, definitely. Let's. I'll make it a promise to make it up there.
Right on, buddy.
Cool.
Take care.
All right, you guys. Until next time, you have a good night.
Okay.
You too.
Yeah, bye-bye.
And there you have it. That was Graham and Darren from Grimerica. Remember to check them out at grimerica.ca. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do what we always do. We're going to allow me to go and freshen up a little bit. I'm going to play some music, and then we'll come right back and continue kicking some ass. All right. Hello and welcome back to the end of days. Welcome back, everybody. As you know, this is the wrap-up period of the show. If you want to call in, remember that number is 209-348-9810 or at NinjaShoes777 on Skype. There is so much to talk about. I hope that I can get to all of this, but I seriously doubt it. So the first thing I wanted to do is throw a shout out to Kevin. Kevin donated to the show recently, and as I promised, anytime anybody donates, I'm going to give them a shout out. It's really the least that I could do for you awesome people out there that are actually donating to keep this show running. Your support, your help is so appreciated. So big shout out to Kevin out there. Not the first time he's donated either. He's probably donated the most out of anybody. So big shout out to Kevin from End of Days Radio. I had an interesting experience yesterday. I was driving down a country road, and this carload of little high schooler punks were tailgating me. They must have been, 15, 16 years old? Something like that. And I'm speeding. I'm not going the speed limit. I'm not going under. I'm actually going 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, but they're tailgating me anyways. So I'm driving along, and he looks like the kid from Home Alone, but he must have been like 15 or 16. He looked like the kid from Home Alone, and while this car is passing me, because I'm just not going fast enough for these little bastards, while this car is passing me, he flips me off. He sticks his middle finger at me for no reason. I wasn't going too slow. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't giving him a look. I wasn't flipping him off. I was doing nothing wrong. This kid's flipping me off. It just so happens that the car that just passed me with the punk teenagers in it, they had to stop. They had to stop because there was a school bus up ahead. So eventually I caught up with them, and they were already making a U-turn by the time that I got caught up to them. It looked like a small Asian girl that was actually driving the car. I'm sure she's getting peer pressured and bullied by these 4 or 5 guys that are in there with her. And I caught up with them. I didn't get out of the car. I didn't try to start a fight or anything like that. I just leaned out of my window and I looked right at her and the rest of them, and I said, "Hey guys, cut the shit." And that really pissed them off, because like a little pack of yippy little dogs, all of a sudden they all go, "Yeah!" Like all of them at once go, "Yeah!" Like they're saying, "Fuck you." They're throwing their middle fingers at me. All of them. The whole carload of little punks was flipping me off. And I did nothing to warrant this behavior. I did absolutely nothing. It was just a carload of freaking punk teenagers driving around acting like assholes. And that girl that was driving the car, what is her problem? Those guys are going to get her into some major trouble at some point. What is up with these kids nowadays? I mean, did I do some stupid crap like that when I was younger? Probably. But I still feel like there is something so immature and juvenile about these 15, 16-year-olds. Why would they be going around harassing innocent people? What is the point of that? I'm not the authority. I'm the guy that's against authority. They don't know me. Why are they flipping me off? Because I'm an adult and I'm driving a red Mustang? Is that what it is? Are they jealous of my car? They probably think it's way more expensive than it is. And they don't even have cars. And here I am with my sunglasses on, driving my Mustang, my red Mustang, and just enjoying my day. And these little jealous little teenagers who don't even have cars. I didn't have a car when I was that age. There's nothing to be ashamed of, but you don't have to flip off an innocent guy that's just minding his own business. What's the matter with people? So that is my story of encountering some punks. I'm sure many of you can relate out there. If you have any stories running into some obnoxious, harassing punks, feel free to send them to me, Daniel, endofdaysradio@gmail.com. That's Daniel, endofdaysradio@gmail.com. In fact, we do have a
listener letter. This is from Kent. He says, Daniel, love the show. I listen on the TuneIn Radio app. From Kent. Very cool. Thank you, Kent, for your support. Thank you for listening. For all of you out there, if you want to listen to the show live, you can listen to it live on the TuneIn Radio app. Just search EODR in capital letters if you want to listen live. And if you want to know who's going to be on and when, go to endofdaysradio.com. Look at the schedule on the left. If you're on your phone or a mobile device, you might have to scroll all the way to the bottom. That way you know who's going to be on and when, so you can take part in the live show. And feel free to ask questions in the chat as well as call in whenever you would like. Actually, sorry, give me 10, 20 minutes at the beginning of the show to start the interview, to get the conversation going before you call in. And when you do call in, don't say anything. Just wait until I call upon you. If we stick to those two things, it should be seamless and it should be enjoyable and it shouldn't ruin the experience. So definitely feel free to do that. Also, let's see here. I forgot to mention the songs that were played during the break. There were 3 songs played. These are all by Al's band Circle A Enterprises. Check them out on Facebook and Reverb Nation. The first one was The Day the Earth Stood Still. The second one was Gunslinger, and the third one was Crostica. I like to usually do that right when we come back from the break, but I forgot. So there's that. And you can, if you hear a song on the show, it's always going to be in the description, in the notes. So if you want to go back and listen, if you want to go back and figure out who that was, if you want to go download their music or whatever, you can just refer to the website and it will be listed along with the latest show. And that offer still stands. All of you aspiring artists out there, if you have a song, if you have music that you would like to be played on the show, just shoot me an email at danielendofdaysradio@gmail.com. We're going to continue to support indie music and support the little guy. Hold on, let me take a drink of water. My mouth is getting dry. All this talking. Oh, God, that tastes so good. And if you would like to book me for an appearance, if you want to book me for your birthday party or your club opening or something like that, contact me, danielendofdaysradio@gmail.com. I am available for talks as well as interviews as well as stand-up comedy. So if you would like to book me, that's danielendofdaysradio@gmail.com. So I got to talk about this. So I had another ghostly paranormal occurrence last night. You guys remember the first thing that happened? Not the first thing that's happened in my life, but in this ongoing series of paranormal poltergeist events. I think it originally happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was in my living room. Something was moving around the kitchen. The walls were kind of rattling, and then all of a sudden a chip bag starts moving on its own, and my cat's watching, looking at that spot like there's something there. Sounds like really large footsteps. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was an invisible reptilian or what, but there was something there. Well, whatever it was, it came back. So I'm sitting in my living room, and there's my oven, has a drawer underneath it where there's pots and pans and miscellaneous odds and ends kept. All of a sudden, I hear that drawer start tapping, like it's going ching, 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 like something's moving around in there. I'm like, oh, whatever, it's a mouse, it's a rat, whatever. And it probably was. So I'm afraid to open it because I don't know if there's going to be a big rat in the drawer or what. So I'm just kind of staring at it while it's going ching, 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 ching. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like this invisible hand just slaps the chip bag that's on my counter and knocks it down on its side. It didn't just fall over, because if it just fell over, I mean, I could see it with my peripheral vision. If it just fell over, it would have just, slowly kind of flopped down on its side. No, that's not how it happened. It looked like something swatted it. That's how hard the thing flipped onto its side. It was really sudden. It was really hard. It was more force then you would see if it was just falling on its own. And then after that happened, it was doing the same thing that it did last time. It was like there was an electrical charge there, and the thing was moving. It was like shrinking down. It was crinkling. It was like an invisible hand was squeezing the bag of chips and like kind of crushing it a little bit, and then it just stopped. So I'm pretty sure that the sounds underneath the oven was a mouse, but I don't know if it was because I was standing there or what, but something keeps fucking with those chip bags in that same spot. I don't know what it is or why, but it's turning into an ongoing thing. It's getting freaky. I went ahead and did a little protection spell and prayed to Jesus. Don't tell anybody, but I was really scared. So I hope that doesn't happen again tonight. I got my guard up now. I'm going to be up most of the night working on the show, but I'm getting sick and tired of this ghostly shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting sick and tired of it. But anyways, that's my latest paranormal happening. I am dressed like a pirate right now, just so you know. I do all of my shows dressed like a pirate and always have. I'm dressed like Jack Sparrow. It's just how I roll. I dress like a pirate while I'm doing the show. Always have. I just don't talk about it much because it's just a normal thing for me. It's funny how many Canadians we're having on recently. We had a Canadian on just now, and tomorrow night we have another Canadian on, Wolfman Mike from the Monster Castle Paranormal Show. So I guess you could call this like a back-to-back Canadian weekend or something like that, right? Badass. What else do we have going on? Okay, okay, there's a letter here. The guy's asking me to tell my assassination attempt story again. I'm not sure how long ago I told it, but I think I'm going to save this for tomorrow night, so I have something to talk about tomorrow night, because this is a long story, and I just sort of told a story. So I believe that I'm going to go ahead and wait on that. I do have a new... I do want to talk about this a little bit, though. Okay, you notice how the guests that were on, it was two guys, like a host and a co-host, or two hosts, or something like that. It just really reminds me of the old version of the show, when there used to be two people doing the show. And I have to wonder if one of these days, are those guys going to end up doing their own shows? Who knows, right? But they seem to get along really well. They seem to have kind of I noticed that they oftentimes, Graham would stop and he'd call upon his co-host Darren, and he'd ask, like, what do you think? It seems like they really allow each other the airtime. They take turns. They make sure that they're both kind of getting in there and they're both happy with what's going on. So big respect to those guys for making that work, because as many of you out there know, I know very well myself how hard it can be to do a podcast with another person or a co-host, especially if the other person isn't taking that extra step to make sure that you are happy with what's going on, that you're getting your airtime and all of that stuff. So I'm impressed when people can do that, because that just did not work out for me. And a lot of people have said, Daniel, you need a co-host, you need to have more people on your show. You know, I hear that quite a bit. And I totally get that, because I was always a Howard Stern fan. And the coolest thing about the Howard Stern show are all of the different people on there. I mean, it's not just Howard. It's Howard and it's Robin. Used to be Artie. Used to be Jackie. You got Baba Booey in the back, Richard and Sal. I mean, there's so many different cast of characters on that show. And of course, me always believing that Howard Stern was the greatest radio guy ever, I wanted to have a show with a bunch of different characters on it. The thing is, though, that it's really hard to do that if you can't pay people. I mean, how am I going to pay people to be on this show? I don't have any money that I could pay them. There's no profits here. So for now, I mean, it's just going to be me. I'm sorry. I'm going to make the show as best as I can. We'll continue to take calls. We'll try to add a little bit more structure, but for the most part, it's just going to stay like this. I'm sorry. This is how I like to do it now. I like just getting on air and doing it all myself. I don't feel like I need to have another person there. Would it make the show better? I'm sure that it would. I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you and I don't have any illusions. I know how good the show is. I know it probably would be better if we had more characters on here, but it's just not appropriate for this type of medium. I would rather take things in a different direction and just try to put on the best broadcast on my own that I possibly can. Maybe it means I got to step up the interviews a little bit. Maybe it means I got to do something with the calls. Maybe it means we need more segments. And speaking of segments, it just so happens that we have a new segment. Oh, somebody's calling. Let's see here. Hello.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey there, buddy.
What's going on?
Not much. Just wrapping up another exciting show. You got me just in time.
Cool. That was a fantastic set of guests. Boy, those guys are pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, I have always wanted to be somebody that supports other people doing what I'm doing. People that are taking their own free time and energy and using it to wake people up. There's not a more noble thing that you can be doing in these times.
Yeah, I agree. And then entertaining them too at the same time. Daniel, you're funny and intelligent, and you schooled them on some stuff. I listened to your show, and I've heard the guests over the too, and you've come across information they haven't even seen.
Yeah, there's a lot of different perspectives on this stuff, and sometimes I do like to jump back into the shoes of somebody that doesn't believe in all the crazy sort of things that I believe. Sometimes I think it's good to do that sometimes because, for example, I've had times when people were telling me things that happened to them that were paranormal, and while I have had a whole lifetime full of paranormal events, there's times when people have lied to me and they told me that something paranormal was happening to them, and I found out later that they were completely lying to me, and that really hurts when people do that.
Yeah, that sucks. Were they lying to you, or were they full of it themselves, or whatever? Were they believing it when it wasn't true, or were they legitimately deceiving you, or whatever?
That's a good question. It really could be either way, but I recently had a thing happen where I realized that somebody was making things up and they were doing it over and over again, and I finally just had to say to myself, look, I need to stop entertaining this because it's starting to wear me down. It's starting to turn into an ongoing thing that I have to attend to, and it really hurts because I'm sitting here and I'm telling all of you guys out there that there is a paranormal world out there. And then when I have a disappointing experience like that, finding out somebody's making things up and hoaxing things, that really hurts me on a deep level because it completely undermines everything that I'm about.
Yeah, totally. But when you're dealing with this kind of show and this subject, the amount of types of people, that you're talking to, Daniel, I can only imagine all the people that contact you and email you and that you talk to must run into all types of people.
Yeah, and I don't want to put a stop to that. If anybody out there has an experience, I definitely want to hear about it. I definitely want to talk to you on the show. But please, if it's not real, don't do that to me. I'm not the guy that you should be doing that to. I'm just an honest guy. I'm trying to do a good thing. I don't have time for it. I got to focus on this show. I got to focus on putting together good shows. I don't have time to be sitting here trying to pick things apart and figure out what's a lie, what's not. It wears me down.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wouldn't spend too much time there if it's cutting into the show, especially. But is it those cheesy videos you were talking about, where the people they post it as a real UFO, or some of that that situation, or is it somebody stringing you along with a greater and greater story or whatever?
That would be the second one.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's sad because it wastes time and energy. One of the reasons your show's so cool is you get right down to it with the guests. Your questions are great. Brings out sides to them that they never get a chance to answer. Your questions, end of days. Who gets to answer that question often? You think we're in the end of days. So that sets them up for a fantastic.
Have you ever known it? Have you ever known anybody like that, Todd? Somebody that would say that some kind of paranormal thing was happening to them, and you kind of had your doubts about it, but you entertained them anyway?
Not really. As far as somebody sitting there going, I'm seeing ghosts, or I'm being contacted, by aliens or whatever. I haven't really had that. I got my buddy Al. He's got some crazy stories, but I'll entertain him. Whatever he tells me, I can't. He can't prove or disprove it, so I'll just say it right on. You've heard some Al stories.
Yeah, definitely. Some of Al's stories, I don't know if they're true or not, but I'm not referring to Al. He doesn't ever waste my time with anything. He doesn't. I'll exchange a few words with him here and there. He'll call on the show and talk about some of his more crazier things, but it's never felt malicious at all.
Oh no, never. He's not telling you to for any other reason than Al's a whole different case there. But what can you give details? What was it?
Well,
they were
see this. I don't as bothered as I am and disturbed as I am about the situation. I don't want to do anything to hurt or embarrass this person. So I don't want to say anything more about it, only that I just want to say that I take this very seriously, and I believe in what I'm doing, and I believe in the things that have happened to me in my life, but that doesn't rule out the fact that many things are deception and that we can be lied to about this stuff. And everybody out there, you got to keep your guard up, and you got to use discernment and keep an open mind, but don't have such an open mind that your brain falls out.
Totally. I told you that back in the 80s, I come across this book put out by the Church of the Subgeniuses. And right there in the front were some of the most amazing, the foreword of the book, they were explaining, if you send away for these to these addresses to contact these weird groups, be aware that a number of things are probably, could happen. Because there's thousands of groups. Do you remember me telling you about that?
Yeah.
The only way to contact these groups was through the mail, and back then, and so I sent away for some of them. But right there in the front of the book, it said, watch out for. You'll probably get on a list for contacting some of these people, because some of them were conspiracy and UFO ones, and then there were weird occult groups, where they said, beware, Who can tell what's going to happen if you contact these people? So back in the 80s, I've seen that you better be careful, who you're talking to, and have a lot of discernment,
Sure, there's groups out there that are involved in pedophilia, sacrifice, all kinds of nasty stuff. There is a dark side to the occult world. They call it the left-handed path.
Yeah. I've read a lot about it, Daniel. I know a lot about it. There's some crazy history that most people are unaware of there. I'm kind of open to all religious views. I realize that there's so many around that I'm open to. What's your belief? What's your view? I was raised in a Mormon community, but our parents didn't make us go to church, and so it wasn't inculcated, into us. And then I could read long before, I got out of grade school really well, so I was reading a lot of incredible books when I was young. Told you that story.
Yeah, there's people out there. They follow a left-handed path, but they don't believe that it's bad. It's just their style of magical practice. They don't believe that they're doing anything wrong. They don't believe that it's negative at all, but they're into the more left-handed types of magic, or what would be considered like voodoo, for example. A lot of people believe that to be a negative thing or believe it to be bad, but I really don't think people that are actually living in Haiti and practicing it, I doubt that they would have such a negative perspective on it.
See, and this is the difference in what we're talking about. You was talking with your guest earlier, and he brought up about Christianity, look how Jesus' name will cast out devils, and it works on people. It works on exorcisms, and the church uses it in his explanations of why there's a power behind using the word Jesus. But the thing about Jesus is, it probably works, and for what reason exactly in each case, who knows why in America in these exorcisms. But if you go to other countries, they have demons where the name Jesus won't be cast out of you in their religions, in their beliefs, in their cultures. And over in Haiti, they're more animist down in that area, and so the gods to them aren't necessarily like the devil. When they get possessed in Haiti, they want to get possessed. They're seeking possession to, perform whatever ritual act it is that the tribes want to do.
There's another take on things. I got into E.A. Koetting's work, and he was interviewing somebody. I forgot who it was, but the person, they brought up a really interesting idea that when you're dealing with demons, they're not so much trying to kill you or make you miserable. That is what they're doing in the here and now, but actually they're doing it to educate us and to cause us to grow. There's a greater purpose when you're getting involved with demons or you're experiencing that harassment. They're actually doing it to help you grow. They might not be trying to help you, but that's the result of what they're doing.
Yeah, I caught that from E.A. Koetting when he was talking about that. And demons are such a wide, just the word demons, it has so many meanings and variations, from literal demon that's possession and torments a person, supposedly in some cases, to just a figurative or an archetypal demon image, like on the tarot deck. In the tarot cards, the devil, which is supposedly the king of the demons or whatever, isn't necessarily the worst card. It's the carnal lust, it's partying, it's letting loose, the image in the cards.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure demon, it really just means daemon, which just means another voice in your head or another consciousness or just another take on things. It doesn't necessarily mean something that's bad, although I would say that in many cases people are dealing with possessions or poltergeist activity, in which case it does seem to be a negative thing, but not always. I think that there's perhaps times when we're having a voice in our head and we think that it's driving us crazy, but really what it's doing is it's trying to teach us something, it's trying to show us something. It's actually causing us to accelerate our consciousness. It's helping our consciousness evolve.
That, or it's pulling us out of a downward spiral, like in alcoholism. Some people refer to alcoholism as demons. God getting rid of that demon, or just problems can be referred to as demons. But that subject of demonology, most of the more demonic, spooky, devilish stuff comes from the Catholic Church and the grimoires that were created because the information was being hidden, and so they started practicing dark arts that has existed, but they had to keep it underground. And so that's where that terminology that we talk about, demons and demonology and all this, started really with the church.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. The entire church and everything that they've done over the years from the very beginning. I mean, just think about it. No offense to anybody out there that's Catholic or a Christian, but if you look at the beginning, the first thing they did was they edited everything down to just one book, and then they killed everybody that didn't agree with it. Then they went on to kill lots of other people, like the Cathars and the Jews and a lot of Muslims and a lot of different groups. Yeah, the people in South America and Mesoamerica, a lot of them were killed by the Catholics because they wouldn't convert, or they were killed by the conquistadors. A lot of people died because of things that the church were doing. Yeah, like you said, the Crusades. You have to take that into account. You have to wonder, what were they doing? Why were they trying to wipe out all these other belief systems? Why did they take the Jewish Hebrew religion and flip it and turn it into something else? What's going on?
Well, there were so many sects and groups where the Old Testament is taken from, and there were different groups around the Gnostics and the early Christians who used a fish, or the early Christians used an eye in a triangle. The earliest ones, before it became the adopted religion, when it was underground, their symbol was an eye in the triangle.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd, unfortunately, I am getting so close to the end of the program, so we'll have to conclude. Yeah. Maybe we can continue this conversation tomorrow night.
Sounds good, my man. Great show. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, we got Wolfman Mike coming on tomorrow.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Yep.
All right, I'll talk to you later, buddy.
Okay, take it easy.
And that was Todd. We were headed in a really good direction right there, but I am getting so tired after 3 hours of programming, and I'm trying to not make this show too super long. I think 3 hours is taking up enough of your day out there. I'm sure there's going to be times when we go 4 hours. I'm sure there's going to be times when we go 5 hours, but I think that 3 hour time limit, I think that's a good average where it doesn't feel super short, but it doesn't go on and take up your whole day. So I'm going to aim for that 3 hour mark. If you like End of Days Radio, go to endofdaysradio.com. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Ninja Shoes. You can always call in at 209-348-9810 or add Ninja Shoes 777 on Skype. Like me on Facebook. That's The Real End of Days Radio. Helps when you hit that like button. Go to endofdaysradio.com, hit that like button. Also, if you want to donate to the show, go to endofdaysradio.com and click donate. Help us keep the lights on, help us keep the servers up. And what else is there? Oh, if you like MMA and pro wrestling, check out ninjashoes.net. I haven't done any pro wrestling or MMA shows in a long time. I do so apologize. I've been so focused on End of Days Radio. I just haven't had the time between working, making music, reading, all these different things I got going on. There's not enough of me to go around. I need a clone, like Arnold. I need a clone. I so badly need a clone. Bring back human cloning, or start it. Start human cloning. I'm all for it. I'm all for human cloning. I don't care what anybody says. All these conspiracy people, we need cloning because there's not enough of me to go around. And wait, how would that work exactly? What would I have to share with the clone? Would I have to share my wife or girlfriend with the clone, or how would that work? I don't know. But anyways, tomorrow night at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, we will be joined by Wolfman Mike, another Canadian with a podcast, and another Canadian with a co-host named Darren who has a podcast. So we're going to keep this theme of podcasters going. Hopefully talk to some more guys as well. I'll have to reach out. And we've got Linda Godfrey coming on the 11th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Scotty Roberts on the 17th. Stan Deo on the 19th. And George Case on the 28th. That should be an interesting show. We're going to talk about rock and roll history, the occult, drugs, stuff like that. Stuff that you guys like. The occult and drugs. Stuff that you guys love, right? Okay. Other than that, shit. Thank you, everybody. I love you guys. I love each and every one of you guys. This show is growing so fast. Like, it's hit another major growth spurt. And there's been so much support, so many people cheering me on. And I really could not have possibly done it without you guys always reinforcing me with that support, always telling me to continue forward. I absolutely appreciate all of you End of Days Radio fans out there sticking with me, sticking with this program. And until next time, I'm Daniel, and this is The End of Days.
And I was shown that that Lucifer would return, that the UN and the Vatican were going to be completely behind it, again, under false pretenses. He's going to show up and say, I'm here to save the day, right? And, okay, fine, you know.
Yeah, of course,
ahead,
you can say whatever you want.
But
I've always hated censorship. It's the internet.
Sometimes, you know, once they get you for your first love bite, well, it depends on how aware you are, right?
I forgot my bullets. I never had a gun. Here I am left standing. Am I the only one? For what I see, memories have guilted me. I'll never see the sun.
First of all, as you know, the Anunnaki and the Draco are enemies. Second of all, underneath Baghdad was a stargate that was created by the Anunnaki so that they could transfer from Jupiter to the Earth.
I'll never see the sun. I could just end it all, but the demons will have won.
Magical practitioners that, you know, some are good and some use their magic for good and to heal and to help, and others do use it for evil. And, you know, in some cases, you know, people really were
This is too much sometimes.